Good evening. Welcome to the October 1st meeting of the Oceanside City Council. I'd like to call this meeting to order and ask our city clerk to call roll.
Mayor Sanchez.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Joyce.
Present.
Councilmember Figueroa.
Present.
Councilmember Robinson. Councilmember Weiss.
Thank you. Please stand for the invocation. Tonight, we have Pastor Hal Seed of New Song Church.
Thank you for inviting me. I brought my granddaughter with me because the last couple times I've come, I've told you what a blessing it is for us to live inside and enjoy the parks. We swim together in Alport Zone on Wednesdays, and so she came with me after her swim team practice. And she's told me what to pray for you all, so please bow your heads.
Thank you. Is your mic on?
Is it not on? Should be on. Check. Try that. Test. Check.
Try that one.
There's no light here. You need to go over there.
Yes.
Let's do that. We'll give you the hand. Oh, all right. Thank you. Maybe you should take this one. Let's pray together. Father, we want to thank you for these men and women who are giving their time and service to our city. We want to thank you for the opportunity we have to live in this incredible place. Thank you that from my perspective, every year that I've lived here at least, it's gotten better, and I pray that it'll get better again this year. R1 tells me we ought to pray for a blessing on every member of the city council and the mayor and their families, and so I do, Lord. I ask you to enrich their lives, to provide for them spiritually, emotionally, financially, relationally. And tonight, we pray for wisdom, that good decisions would be made, that there'd be synergy and a cooperative spirit, and our whole city would benefit by what goes on in this meeting. I pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Councilmember Robinson, would you please lead us?
Thank you very much. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You can sit.
Madam Mayor, you have the lectern mute on. The little switch.
Oh. That's what it was. Okay, thank you. At this time, before I start or continue, is anyone missing their glasses? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'd like to go ahead and read the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the Payom Kawicham people of the West as the traditional land caretakers of the land on which Oceanside is built and its surrounding traditional cultural landscapes. Today, the Payom Kawicham are known as Luiseño and are made up of 7 bands: La Jolla, Palapalma, Pichanga, Rincon, San Luis Rey, and Saboba. We are mindful of the indigenous peoples in this place, and we pay our respects to the Luiseño, past, present, and emerging. We are grateful to have the opportunity to be part of this community in Luiseño territory and to honor their history, culture, and perseverance of spirit. Thank you. So at the top of the meeting, we always do presentations and proclamations, and we've got a few. Going to start off with proclamation in honor of National Filipino American History Month. Dory Harris, Jonathan, everybody come on down. Dory Harris is the president of the PhilAm Cultural Organization, has been for a while, and she just does such great things. She's such a great leader. This is, again, National Filipino American History Month, October 2025. Whereas Filipino Americans are the second largest Asian Pacific Islander group in the United States and a significant and integral part of our diverse Oceanside community. And whereas the celebration of Filipino American History Month in October commemorates the first recorded presence of Filipinos in the continental United States, which occurred on October 18th, 1587, when Luzones Indios came ashore from the Spanish galleon Nuestra Señora de Esperanza and landed at what is now Morro Bay, California. In 2009, Congress recognized October as Filipino American History Month in the United States and is celebrated every year. The theme for 2024 was struggle, resistance, solidarity, and resilience. And whereas the Filipino American Cultural Organization, established in 1976, is an organization whose focus is youth education, scholarships, disaster relief, and preservation and promotion of cultural heritage. And whereas FACO has a broad membership representing all regions of the Philippines and whose role in the community is especially important in Oceanside, where Filipino Americans have made vital contributions in health, education, the military, technology, government, business, the entertainment industry, and the economy. And whereas FACO works to celebrate the diversity of our community and foster understanding and appreciation of Filipino culture by partnering with the Oceanside Public Library for the 24th year, presenting the annual Oceanside Filipino Cultural Celebration, which occurred on Saturday, June 14th, 2025 at the Oceanside Civic Center, the largest event ever, which was filled with music and dance, performances, traditional dress, and arts from the Philippines and from the Filipino American community. And whereas this coming Sunday, October 5th, 2025, FACO is partnering with St. Mary's Star of the Sea in presenting its 4th annual Fall Festival, adding Filipino American cultural dance, music, and food to the wonderful event. And whereas on Saturday, December 6th, 2025, FACO will be celebrating its 12th annual HIAS Awards and Christmas Gala, honoring outstanding Filipino American professionals in the fields of the humanities, industries, youth, arts, and sciences. And whereas, now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Sanchez, on behalf of the City of Oceanside, do hereby proclaim the month of October as National Filipino American History Month in the City of Oceanside and urge all residents and visitors to enjoy the culture, history, foods, music, and dances of one of the most important communities of our diverse City of Oceanside. Thank you, Dory. And where's Genevieve? I guess I forgot to ask Genevieve. Come on down, Genevieve. Genevieve is always a part of this, in terms of the workhorse, really.
Yes. Well, Mayor, as always, thank you so much. Thank you for acknowledging us. And this year mark our 49 years as Filipino American Cultural Organization, and we are so proud about our culture, passing down to the generation after generation. And we love our community, and we will continue sharing our heritage to different ethnic group. And again, I'm so thankful, like Mayor says, on October 5th, we will be part of the St. Mary's Star of the Sea Paris Festival, and we will have a booth there, and my cultural dance group will be dancing, and please watch us or come and join us. And it's a beautiful way to contribute or to share our culture to the community. I thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lenny Pisco Garcia. I am the Vice President of FACO. And I would like to thank you again, Mayor Sanchez, for bringing us here today. And I would like to invite everyone for, we have many events and we also have many programs that our organization actually support. We have scholarships locally and abroad. We also support special eds in the Philippines. We also have senior program. We have the Tagalog program here that's free to the community. Come and join us, and many, many more.
Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mr. Jonathan Inerva. I'm the current Executive Secretary of FACO. And thank you very much again, Mayor Sanchez, for inviting us and to do this proclamation in honor of our Filipino American History Month. And I would just like to say that Everything is already said about FACO, but the thing that really sparked me today is when you said about the Native Americans. Now, I'm a historian myself. I love history of the Filipino Americans as well as the American as a whole. Now, something sparked or got interested in is when is the first contact of the Filipinos with the native Luiseños? Okay, that might be worth research. Okay, if you guys know about it, just come and help me out, and then we'll probably start this search. Okay, thank you.
Oh, hi. Hi, everyone. I'm Malu Hamto, one of the board of directors of FACO, and thank you for having us.
Thank you. If the rest of the council would like to join us for a picture. Again, this is October, Filipino American Cultural History Month, so. And you have to go to an event because the food is fantastic, right? And then afterwards, you can dance it all off because they're everything, all of their, no joke, really. I mean, you should see Jonathan on the dance floor, okay?
Yeah, you know, they all dance.
Yeah, they all dance.
Let's have a.
Thank you. Next is proclamation in honor of Fire Prevention Week. Come on down, our firefighters. Hey, Chief. All right. Well, this is pretty exciting because we have a fantastic fire department. The best. This is for Fire Prevention Week, October 5th through the 11th, 2025. Whereas the City of Oceanside is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in Oceanside and visiting. And whereas fire remains a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and the presence of lithium-ion batteries in many household devices introduces unique fire risks. And whereas most of the electronics used in homes daily, including smartphones, tablets, laptops, power tools, e-bikes, e-scooters, and toys, are powered by lithium-ion batteries, which, if misused, damaged, or improperly charged, can overheat, start a fire, or explode. And whereas the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, reports an increase in battery-related fires, underscoring the need for public education on the safe use of lithium-ion batteries. And whereas residents should follow 3 calls to action: buy only listed products, charge batteries safely, and recycle them responsibly to prevent battery-related fires. And whereas lithium-ion batteries store a large amount of energy in a small space, and improper use, such as overcharging using off-brand chargers without safety certification or exposing batteries to damage, can result in fire or explosion. And whereas the proper disposal and recycling of lithium-ion batteries help prevent environmental hazards and reduce fire risks in the home and community. And whereas Oceanside Fire Department remains dedicated to reducing the occurrence of fires through prevention, safety education, and community outreach. And whereas the 2025 Fire Prevention Week theme, Charge into Fire Safety, lithium-ion batteries in your home, serves to remind us of the importance of using, charging, and recycling lithium-ion batteries safely to reduce the risk of fires in homes and communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Sanchez, do hereby proclaim October 5th through 11th, 2025 as Fire Prevention Week in the City of Oceanside.
That's a lot of words, but David Parsons, Fire Chief, what I'd really like to emphasize is the fire department has seen an increase in fires in garages specifically due to where we charge our batteries. And one of the most important things you can do is not buy cheap batteries off of something like Amazon that doesn't match the product you bought. Use the chargers that come with it. We see fires more often because of this issue. You'll know that there are recalls on battery packs that go into, for example, ones that might go on an airplane, and they have issues on that. So please Take it to heart. Prevention Week is so we can prevent these things from happening. We don't want to go to any fire. We're here for you if we do. You have the best fire department, but we'd rather not go to those fires in your garages, okay? So I have a big team. I'll just name them off real quick. Lifeguard Captain Tyler Berry, Karina Martinez, Chantel Arango, Yamaleth Marquez, Justin Cantwell, David Abbott, Randy Hill, Division Chief Dorse, Tiara Garfield, Ashley Lyons, and in the back, Chelsea. You can't hide from us, Chelsea. That's all I got for you, Mayor.
Thank you. Well, we've got the best. So if fellow council members can join me here for a picture, and there's something else.
While they're on their way, open house. October 18th, 9 to 12. We have one of the best and biggest in the entire county. People come from across the county to our open house because it's really neat with demonstrations, gifts, giveaways, and education, and just a lot of fun. Bring your kids. There'll be some pancakes put on by the firefighters and things like that. So please join us October 18th.
Okay, do you have the address?
Yeah, thank you. 110 Jones Road at the Fire Training Center. 110 Jones Road. Thank you.
Thank you. Here we go. Thank you. Thank you, guys. You rock. You're the best. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. This is great. Yeah. All right, the next four, these are pioneers of Oceanside. And I'm just so proud to be able to bring their stories. It's not a whole lot of time, but it really means a lot to know what our history is here in Oceanside. And so I did reach out to Christy Hawthorne for some additional information. And the first person we're going to honor is Anita Cruz Romero. Anita Cruz Romero, and we've got two members of her family here. Come on down. Yeah. You may have wondered, and this is about the East Side community, how did it get its name? You're going to hear about it. Whereas Anita Cruz Romero was born in Guanajuato, Mexico in 1851. She passed away in her beloved East Side Pozole neighborhood at the age of 97 on March 10th, 1948. And whereas Anita married Vidal Romero, who passed away in Guanajuato, Mexico on July 28th, 1903. Widowed, she was left with two sons, Vidal Jr. and Rafael Romero. And whereas Anita immigrated to the United States in 1910 with her two now adult sons. They crossed over from Mexico through El Paso, Texas, headed north on the train towards New Mexico. They kept going west and eventually settled in Oceanside. She lived on Higgins Street with son Rafael. And whereas Rafael married Regina Romero, together they had 18 children, losing 15 of them to the Spanish flu and the Depression. Regina passed away in 1921, shortly after giving birth, and Rafael passed away in 1929. Anita was left to care for and raise the three surviving children, one named Sabino. And whereas Anita came to live with Sabino and his family until she passed in 1948. While living with Sabino, Anita had to figure out how to generate income to help support the family. Before Camp Pendleton was the Marine base, it was all farmland that was part of the Rancho Santa Margarita. Anita would make pozole and sell it to generate income. And whereas Anita's pozole was so delicious, farm workers would all come to the barrio for her pozole. In Spanish, they would say, "Vamos al pozole," which is how the East Side neighborhood got its name, pozole. And whereas Anita was also a midwife and delivered many early Latino residents in the neighborhood, she did not know how to read or write, so she would sign the birth certificates with an X, which she said represented her last name, Cruz Romero. And whereas Anita was fortunate to be one of the first women in Eastside to purchase a home in the Pozole, her hard work throughout her life enabled her to eventually own 5 properties, 2 on Lemon Street and 3 on Higgins. And whereas one of the last stories told about Anita was when she was dying, she had suffered a stroke which caused her to be bedridden. Anita was always very thrifty and made clothes from old sacks of flour. In her last days, she threw her pillow to the ground several times. Eventually, her grandson figured out there must be something inside. He cut it open, and Anita had stuffed it full of money. She was a hard worker and saved all she could so her family could survive. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Sanchez, on behalf of the City of Oceanside, do hereby proclaim Anita Cruz Romero as an Oceanside pioneer. As a single mom during a time of great economic hardship, Anita left a lasting legacy of service and work, as well as a fantastic pozole. Do you guys have the recipe? No, darn it. She was a cornerstone of the Eastside Barrio Pozole community whose influence has endured, as has that story. So I've got two of their great grandsons here. Tommy?
I would just like to thank Mayor Sanchez for this proclamation and for understanding what the neighborhood was, how it came about. And it's still a strong neighborhood now. You know, right now also the city recognizing it, and we continue to do, you know, all my family, still 8 brothers and sisters, and we continue to do a lot of outreach in the neighborhoods and reaching as many people as we can. And that's just part of, I think, the legacy that was left.
So thank you, Mayor Sanchez, for the recognition. I'm Bobby Romero. I'm the youngest of our father Savino's children, 9 children. I'm the youngest, so I feel blessed that I spent a lot of time with my dad and mom. But a lot of time with my dad after my mom passed, it was just us and 2 granddaughters that he was raising. And I was able to get a lot of stories from my dad. So a lot of things I documented and remembered. The one thing that really sticks in my head is coming through El Paso, through New Mexico, and just, I thank God they landed here in Oceanside because, you know, I think I've been to those other places. You know, my son played football in New Mexico. We landed in El Paso to go to the college in New Mexico, and it's like, man, I'm sure glad we didn't end up here. No disrespect to those in El Paso, but I love it here in Oceanside. This is our home. Most of you probably know the mural on the back of the North Pines Brewery is a tribute to our great-grandmother, and it's just an honor when I drive by with my grandchildren and say, hey, that's your great-great-great-grandmother. I think that's where we're at now, and Oceanside is our home, and like Tommy said, there was 8 of us. We were all born and raised here in Oceanside, went to Oceanside High School, graduated at the Pier, and majority of us, grandkids, still live here in Oceanside. And so this is our home, and again, we thank you for the recognition.
Well, thank you. The council members can join for this picture. Oh, and Tommy and I were to be back about 3 months. You know. Thank you. They both have done so much for our youth. And I'm just so proud of them. Next, I'd like to honor Pedro Pete Nares Magana, another Oceanside pioneer. We've got his wife Angie here. And if anybody would go to OHS football games, you would have seen him up in the bleachers yelling and, you know, supporting his Pirates.
99 years old.
She's 99, okay? Whereas Pedro Pete Nares Magana's family came to Oceanside in 1906, when Oceanside's population was about 5,000. Pete was born on the east side, right off a mission, on April 14th, 1928, to parents Athenogenes and Galeana Magaña, both of Michoacán, Mexico. Pete was one of many school children who was required to attend the Americanization School to learn English before he was allowed to attend regular school. And whereas Pete played football for Oceanside High School, upon graduating from OHS in 1947, Pete worked in construction, helping to build Camp Pendleton, county water conveyance projects, and other large developments around North County. In 1951, Pete was drafted into the Army and served in the Korean War as a member of the D Battery 26 Anti-Aircraft Artillery Battalion, 24th Infantry Division. And whereas in 1966, Pete founded the Oceanside chapter of the American GI Forum. Under his leadership, the Oceanside chapter raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for youth scholarships, opening the doors to colleges for many Latino youth. Pete remained a member of the American GI Forum for 45 years until his death. And whereas Pete built his house on Langford Street with the help of his brothers, Pete raised his 7 children there with his wife Angelina Angie Cruz. The couple were married for 52 years. And whereas Pete went back to construction work, including pouring concrete for the new I-5 freeway from Mission Avenue to Vista Way, he thereafter worked in the grocery business for 32 years, including working for the Alpha Beta store off of Canyon. Pete served on the boards of many Oceanside community advocacy groups, including Latino Alliance of North County, the Eastside United Community Action Network, UCAN, the YMCA, and El Grupo Sin Nombre. And whereas Pete was named Oceanside Citizen of the Year in 1972 and 1983, and whereas Pete served on the board of the Laurel Elementary School PTA for 32 years, 15 as president, earning a lifetime membership. And whereas Pete worked for OUSD for 5 years and served on the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee for 10 years, contributing to the success of bond measures G and H. And whereas during football season, every Friday night, Pete could be seen in the bleachers cheering on his favorite team, the OHS Pirates. Pete passed away on October 19th, 2011, surrounded by family. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Sanchez, on behalf of the City of Oceanside, do hereby proclaim Pedro Pete Nadas Magaña as an Oceanside pioneer. Pete left a lasting legacy of service and education. He opened the door of opportunity to many Latino youth and families. He was a cornerstone of the Eastside Barrio Pozole community, whose influence was felt citywide and throughout North County. Does that sound like Pete? Who's going to speak?
Thank you for the honor, Mayor Sanchez. My dad was always coming to city council meetings. He was always going to PTA meetings. In fact, he was PTA president at the elementary, middle school, and high school all at the same time, and also doing American GI Farm. So I don't know how he had the energy, because I don't. My mom is 99. She will tell everyone she's 99. She's going to be 100 in May. We're so excited for her, and we'll have a big birthday party. But thank you again.
So the way that Pete would raise some money, it was a dinner every year. It was the American GI Forum Queen Contest, right? Yeah. And the other one was he had some famous tamales, yes. So he would make those once a year, and you had to get your order early because otherwise they'd run out. But I mean, Pete was wonderful. He was there for all of us. And, he'd say, oh, yeah, once you get out of the neighborhood, nobody knows who you are. Everybody knew who Pete Magaña was. So thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
Very much. No, you want to speak? No.
Oh, you did. Okay. Can the council members join us? Yeah, they've got a ton of pictures, right?
Oh, okay, with them.
Too bad you can't have. We're gonna have to do something. We're gonna have to do something like at the library, maybe next year. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So where's the party at?
Yeah. Okay, the next one is for Joe and Judy Flores. Joe and Judy Flores, come on down. Hi. Thank you. So, if you were here about 10 years ago, was the sign still up about 10 years ago?
Maybe even less.
Okay, Joe's Furniture on Coast Highway, yeah? This is the family, all right. Whereas Jose Joe Luis Flores was born into poverty in Laredo, Texas, a first-generation American with 12 siblings and a single mother. And whereas Joe's strongest memory was how he and his siblings were always hungry and too poor to afford the simplest of needs. And whereas Joe enlisted in the Marine Corps at a recruiting event in exchange for, a six-pack of beer. The Marines came knocking on his door a few weeks later. I don't think he really thought that was serious, right? Collecting him and sending him to boot camp on July 30th, 1957. He was later stationed at Camp Pendleton, California, where he fell in love with Oceanside. And whereas as an active duty Marine, he sent most of his monthly paycheck home to feed his mother and siblings. After his time was up, he was honorably discharged and decided to stay in the beautiful city of Oceanside, at which time he landed a job with a local businessman who sold home goods. And whereas during his employment, he met his future bride, Judith Judy Eason, while making a furniture delivery to the dairy farm where she worked. Within a year, Joe and Judy were married and established their lives in Oceanside. And whereas together they worked with their closest friends, taking over the boss's home goods business, and their best friends, Roberto and Carmen Gonzalez. And whereas Joe and Judy Flores opened the Bargain House in the 60s at 322 South Hill Street, now the pawn shop on Coast Highway near LTH, where they lived in the upper apartment and worked at the vintage pawn shop below. And whereas by the 70s, Joe and Judy branched out of the used furniture and home goods business to sole proprietorship, selling new furniture out of 404 to 423 South Coast Highway, now home to Fat Joe's, Fior Paper, and Pacific Coast Spirits, as well as 530 South Coast Highway and 1710 Mission Avenue, under the name of Joe's Credit Furniture, purchasing residential real estate in Oceanside, providing affordable housing to those in need. And whereas Joe and Judy were quietly active in the city of Oceanside, donating to organizations, sponsoring needy families, hosting political events, donating space for political campaign offices, annually donating furniture to Camp Pendleton and to women's shelters, hosting the OPD police dog search training annually, and hosting Thanksgiving for needy families every year. And whereas Joe died in 2003, Judy continued the furniture business until 2018, when she downsized and focused solely on the property management part of the family business. Judy managed the affordable housing until she died in 2023. And whereas Joe and Judy have 4 children, Nina, Russell, Joe Flores Jr., Leticia Kunda, and Monica Stevens, who now jointly manage both the commercial and residential real estate in Oceanside and continue to honor their legacy as pioneers of the city of Oceanside and affordable housing providers. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Sanchez, on behalf of the city of Oceanside, do hereby proclaim Joe and Judy Flores as Oceanside pioneers. Joe and Judy left a lasting legacy of service and affordability. He opened the door of opportunity to many individuals and families, including active and retired military. Their influence continues to be felt citywide.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be here today and for honoring my family. I'm really proud to be here, and I'm so happy that my parents chose to stay here and not the cities where they're from. I really, really appreciate you guys taking the time to honor us tonight. Thank you. And my husband said to say, go Padres.
Okay. Thank you, Nina. Yeah. Do we have a picture? So you're learning a lot about Oceanside, right? Joe's Furniture, I'm sure you remember that. What I don't remember are, Christy Hawthorne was telling me the commercials that Joe would do.
That's right.
Oh, is that what you say? That's right, okay. There you go.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Okay, last but not least, this is somebody that meant a lot to our community, and that is Tony Adame. And Tony has, and while he's not here with us any longer, his wife is here, Dorothy, as well as his 3 kids. Whereas Antonio Tony Durante Adame was born February 22nd, 1937, to parents Ignacio and Socorro Duarte Adame. The Adame family migrated to Oceanside from Michoacan, Mexico in 1926. And whereas in 1945, Ignacio and Socorro opened a store called La Chiquita Market. Remember La Chiquita Market? Yeah. In the East Side Pozole neighborhood, Socorro cooked and sold fresh tortillas and tamales from the market. Tony's brother, Ruben Adame, and family ran the market for many years. And whereas Tony worked in masonry with the Laborers Union Local 89, he worked on many projects, including the San Onofre power plant. And whereas when not working, Tony was either coaching or being the president of the Oceanside American Little League for 17 years. He was the manager of the Siegel Brothers team. Do you remember the Siegel Brothers? Okay. Where he coached many kids who to this day still tell stories about how Tony impacted their lives. And whereas once his kids outgrew baseball, Tony became a member of the Oceanside High School Booster Club for over 20 years. He spent countless years before and after his kids graduated working in the Oceanside Pirates snack bar for football and basketball games. He looked forward to Friday nights when after work he would get his shopping list together, head out to Smart and Final. He loved to arrive early to get the nacho cheese hot and fried rice ready for the big night. After a long day at work and long night at the fields, he would still manage to have a cup of coffee and some cake at Big Bob's or Coco's with the people who helped in the snack bar for their nightcap. And whereas Tony was recognized by Oceanside High School, who named the Oceanside Pirates snack bar after Tony. And whereas Tony's wife, Dorothy Adame, has been by Tony's side every step of the way, to this day, Dorothy carries out the Friday night tradition, having her kids take her to watch the Oceanside Pirates play. And whereas Tony loved his community and instilled that same love in each of his children, Tony Jr., Ignacio, AKA Nacho, and Matthew, and their families, as Tony would say, go big green. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Sanchez, on behalf of the City of Oceanside, do hereby proclaim Tony Adame as an Oceanside pioneer. Tony left a lasting legacy of service, sports, and family. He was a cornerstone of the Eastside Barrio Pozole community, whose influence is still widely felt.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mayor Sanchez, for this honor here. Our father loved the community here of Oceanside. He loved the diversity, and he taught that in us, to love it, to give back to it. We each all worked at the Boys and Girls Club or the after-school programs, and he just taught us to give as much as we can. Our mother always opened up their doors to our friends and family, to all the athletes to come on to eat before games. And this lady right here, if it wasn't for her being every step of the way with them, this is an honor to you today too as well, Mom.
Okay. Well, these guys are very, very proud of their dad. And I remember going to the OHS games and I'd hear him, yelling. So just gave so much. He just gave so much. So thank you. We're going to go ahead and ask our council members to join us and take a picture. And that's it for this part. Closed session report, Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Mayor. Council did meet in closed session earlier today. There was no meeting on item 1, conference with labor negotiator. On item 2, council met regarding several litigation, existing, and anticipated items specific to workers' compensation. Item 1, Jeffrey Novak versus City of Oceanside. Item 2, Philip Cotton versus City of Oceanside. Item B1, William Eisenberg versus City, and item B2, Hayden Harshman versus City. On each item, there was direction provided to staff, but no reportable action under the Brown Act at this time. Council also met on item 3, conference with real property negotiator regarding property owned by the city and located at 1350 North Pacific Street, Unit A, including the Dolphin Dock, V-Dock, and 1395 and a half Harbor Drive North, regarding the City of Oceanside and Hellgren's Oceanside sport fishing trips. City negotiator Vicky Gutierrez, direction was provided, but no reportable action under the Brown Act at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next are consent calendar items 4 through 13. Are there any requests from the public to pull?
We have a request from the public to pull item number 10.
All right. Is there a motion for the balance?
I'd make a motion, if I might, just with item number 11. I just want to say thanks to Preserve Calavera for offering those funds and keeping the Go side going, because that's a really important piece of our city right now.
All right, there's a motion. I'll go ahead and second. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Okay, and so that is number 10. Staff and the Youth Commission recommend that the City Council approve the Youth Commission 2025-27 work plan. And who requested to pull that? Patty Kay.
Patty Kay?
Ms. Kay?
Okay, this is basically for clarification. It's understood that the Youth Commission was resurrected on March 19th, 2025. I researched the minutes as best I could, and I couldn't see from March 2025 who is responsible for recruiting the students on the commission. Did they need to be approved by the council, as most commissions do? If so, when were they approved? Do you have answers on that?
Are you done?
Pardon?
Are you finished speaking?
Yes, I just had clarification on
Okay.
that because I
Yes.
couldn't find any information on it. And
So it was part of the other process, which is they are announced by the city clerk. Mr. Varro, would you like to respond to that?
The recruitment for the Youth Commission is done through our standard boards and commissions recruitment. We produce a vacancy report where the Youth Commission vacancies are reported along with the other vacancies for other boards and commissions. We distribute that vacancy to the libraries, to various community centers. As far as the city's recruitment, that's as far as we go. If there are community members or school counselors recruiting, I'm not aware of it. But I do know that with other various commissions, other people go out and recruit members or interested parties. But as far as the city, our level of recruitment for commissions ends at distributing those vacancy reports and those advertisements.
so it's pretty much out to the
He
library.
publishes the report, and then it comes to the council for approval. Yes.
And so that's a blanket approval with the other commissions? And when was that done? Do you know? Do you remember?
About 2 months ago?
About two months ago.
About 2 months ago?
It was done on May 21st. May 21st, the appointments for the Youth Commission were conducted at
May
an open
21st?
meeting and agendized.
And who does the selection on that?
That would be the mayor.
That's done through the normal course, which is I bring forward names, and then I put them forward as a recommendation for approval.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and move item number 10 for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and second. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. General items, item number 14, City Council. Staff recommends City Council introduce an ordinance amending Chapter 37, Article 9, related to cross-connection and backflow devices to comply with the new requirements of the updated cross-connection control policy handbook adopted by the State Water Resources Control Board. This is a general item. We're going to begin with a report by Martin Pompma, Water Utilities Manager.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor Sanchez and Council. My name is Martin Pompma. I'm a Division Manager for the City of Oceanside Water Utilities Department, and I'll be providing a presentation on the ordinance amending Chapter 37, Article 9, as it relates of the City Code as it relates to the cross-connection and backflow devices. And this is to comply with the new requirement of the cross-connection control policy handbook. So in June 17th of 2025, the Water Resources Control Board adopted the revisions to the cross-connection control plan. The ordinance amendment applies to all new residential construction, single-family residential construction, that requires fire sprinklers as a condition of issuing permits. And it relates directly to backflow devices, which are necessary for properties with the fire sprinkler systems. And purpose of them is to prevent backing up into our system and possibly introducing contaminants. The amendment changes the type of devices that are approved for these purposes. So the previous requirement was the use of a dual check valve. These dual check valves are underground and they're not testable, so we can't verify the effectiveness of the device. So those devices are no longer approved. Approved devices are double check valves with a shutoff and test port. These devices are above ground. They are visible, so it could be a nuisance, and they're also more expensive. The alternative is to use a passive purge system. A passive purge system is a loop system that's connected to one or more routinely used fixtures within the property. So how this works, if this could be a toilet, could be a sink. So when that sink is used, it runs water through the fire sprinkler system, keeping it fresh, keeping it from being stagnant, and reducing the possibility of microbial growth. Now, this system's only allowed for single-family residences with one service connection, only 1 meter that reads both the domestic flow as well as the fire flow, and the fire sprinkler system needs to meet drinking water standards, the NSF and ANSI standards. So the main changes that will occur would be just the removal of the definition of a dual check valve, adding a definition of a passive purge system, and also replacing the requirement of a dual check valve with a passive purge system. There is no fiscal impact to this action. It's just an administrative change to comply with the current law. With that, staff recommends that council introduce an ordinance amending Chapter 37 of the code in order to meet the updated changes of the Cross-Connection Control Program handbook. With that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any requests to speak from the public?
We do not have any requests.
Okay. Councilmember Weiss.
Move approval, staff recommendation.
All right. There's a motion and a second. No other comments. Please title the ordinance, Mr. Burke.
Thank you. This is the introduction and first read of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Oceanside, amending Chapter 37, Article 9 of the Oceanside City Code relating to cross-connection control and black flow prevention.
Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. Is Karina Jimenez still here? Come on forward. She had asked to be able to speak a little over there at there. Yeah, she's got an announcement. Karina.
No, that was for earlier. Disregard.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get to advance request to reserve time to speak. Item number 17, Richard N.
Mayor Sanchez, members of the council, and the public. At the last council meeting, item 19 was proposed to make Oceanside a sanctuary city, although it was not described that way. It passed by a surprising unanimous vote with a final item added to send a letter to our federal government advocating for a pathway for citizenship for illegal aliens. Considerations for that letter are the focus of the speech, but first I'd like to point out a few things, first for context. An almost identical proposal appeared before the Vista City Council. I was impressed by the two Republicans there that fought this proposal instead of rolling over to it, because that's what Republicanism is all about: rationality, rule of law, and objectivity. Too bad we don't have more of that. In summary, both proposals would channel taxpayer money to support illegal aliens and obstruct federal law enforcement. Much of the debate in both cities focused on the merits or costs of illegal immigrants or the constitutionality of enforcement actions. All miss the point. Article 1 of the United States Constitution gives Congress the plenary authority to determine immigration policy. It is their jurisdiction alone, so any debate in the City Council on the merits of immigration is irrelevant and moot. This debate belongs in Congress. Our very own Eric Joyce was at the Vista meeting and spoke in favor of the proposal, arguing for due process, as he did here in Oceanside. So let me begin by pointing out a flaw in Eric Joyce's position. Due process is not the concern for the city, it is the venue of the courts, so let the courts decide that matter. And Eric, you don't waste our money on due process violations for American citizens, so why would you do it for foreign nationals who are here illegally? So let's talk about Mayor Sanchez's proposed letter to our federal government. There are 3 points I'd like to make. Point number 1, this council has no jurisdiction. The entire premise of sanctuary cities is that the state and local governments are not obligated to enforce federal immigration law because it is not their jurisdiction. But if it's not in your jurisdiction, then you have no authority to officially communicate with the federal government on it. More generally, you are not our federal representatives, and you do not have any authority to represent Oceanside residents before the federal government, except for the perfunctory matters in the course of routine city business. You are free to speak as individuals, but do not use the Oceanside letterhead that would convey some position of authority in this matter when, in fact, none of you have that authority. I know you will ignore this and abuse your authority, but I and others will also contact our congressional representatives and point out that you do not speak for us on this issue and that you have no right to do so. Point number 2, it's flawed policy. Your proposed pathway to citizenship is inherently flawed. It rewards those who broke our laws and puts them at the front of the line ahead of those who respected America and are here under our legal process. That's bad policy. It also sends a message that lawbreaking will be rewarded. That's also bad policy. I'll remind you that this was tried in the 1986 Immigration Reform Act, and that did nothing to slow illegal immigration. Hard tactics work. Witness President Trump's success at securing our borders from illegal entry. We must firmly enforce our laws, and law enforcement agencies on all levels should work together. Point number 3, do not use the word reform in your letter. In communications with the federal government, do not refer to your proposal as immigration reform. The word reform overtly suggests an improvement, but your proposed letter is simply a request for change in policy. Your policy suggestion may or may not be an improvement. So the title of the letter as a suggested change for immigration policy rather than immigration reform is more appropriate. Mayor Sanchez stated she wanted a unanimous support on this measure. Perhaps the Republicans here could stand up to her and refuse to support it, at least until this minimal change is made. Finally, let me point out that my mother was a first-generation immigrant from El Salvador. It really shouldn't matter because my points should be evaluated on their merits alone, but we live in a hypersensitive and irrational times, so it needs to be said. I am not anti-immigrant, but rather pro-rule of law. She was here legally, and she loved and respected America. Unlike the rioters in Los Angeles who waved Mexican flags as they burned and looted, she never once waved an El Salvadoran flag. I don't even know what one looks like. That's called assimilation, and that's good for America. Remember what Bobby Jindal, the governor of Louisiana and himself an immigrant, once said, that immigration without assimilation is simply an invasion. That description looks an awful lot like what happened in Los Angeles with its sanctuary policies. Hopefully, we won't see anything like that in Oceanside.
Thank you. Item number 18, how many folks?
We have 11 speakers.
We can go ahead and get started. That letter was from the Escondido City Council, who passed it unanimously. I'm going to go ahead and get started. How many did you say?
11.
11, okay.
Just, can I point of personal privilege very briefly?
Yes, Council
Just
Deputy
because my
Mayor.
name was brought up. Just for clarity's sake, protecting due process for all people is protecting due process for immigrants, and it's also protecting due process for every other person that lives in this city. When a random person's rights and due process are violated, nobody but that individual knows their immigration status. So you have to protect it for all if you want to pick to protect it for you.
All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and do the 3 minutes. James Falank, followed by Leo Chapinski, and I think that's all we'll do. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm James Phelons, and I thank you, Mayor Sanchez and the City Council, for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here to talk about the meeting that's going to be held next Tuesday, a City Council meeting to consider the approval of the Oceanside Transit District Transit Center. I live adjacent to the Transit Center, and I'm here to point out what I consider a very unsafe design flaw in the project. And I'm putting this up. The QR code and a petition that I've been walking the neighborhood with to get a pulse and a feel for, are the citizens in my neighborhood feeling the same concerns that I am about buses exiting with the planned design onto Missouri Street. The street was never designed for bus traffic. It's a local street. It has thinner pavement and it's very narrow. And I'm encouraging the City Council to vote no on the project at this time. I like the project. I think it's a great project. But this is a time to take a pause and consider routing the buses back. There's already a turnaround back to Seagaze Drive to exit the property and not create the risk of buses running into and colliding with pedestrians, bicyclists on these narrow streets. I'm encouraging the community to show up at the meeting next week. I know I've already spoke with dozens and dozens of folks in my neighborhood, and to a person, 100% don't want the buses on the community and on the streets in my neighborhood. I've heard of outreach going on, 12 to 14 meetings where there's been outreach to educate the public on this. I have not seen one notice in my neighborhood, and every person I've talked to in my neighborhood has not been reached out to as well. There may have been good meetings held to educate other people, but not the citizens that live in the immediate neighborhood. This is a time for us to take a pause, get the input from the community that's directly affected by having buses exit onto Missouri Street from the relocated terminal, bus terminal to the south end of the project, 50 feet from my back door. And that really concerns me. And so this is not just me bringing this to your attention, but when I spoke up at the Planning Commission meeting when it was approved back in November, not November, last May, the chair of the Planning Commission, Thomas Morrissey, directed the NCTD and the Toll Brothers, the partners with NCTD, to redevelop the project to...
That's your time is up. But hopefully they got your...
They directed the... okay, I'll take my
presentation.
seat.
Thank you. Leo Chapinski?
Oh, there's never enough time. Okay. Mayor, City Council, Chief of Police isn't here tonight. I wish he was because I have some information for him and he needs to get on it right away. I decided after one of the churches that I go to 8 different ones during the week, but one of them in particular, I came home and to my car and thought, gee, I think I have some noodles and some broth and something to eat before I hit the sack. And that would have turned out good, except someone as always, decided to steal a few things from my vehicle. But the worst thing is they took my plate, my handicap plate, my disabled plate, my veteran disabled handicap plate. It goes through 2026. The problem here is that we have some new people in town that are not very nice. They have a white van, and on the front of the white van, they have no license plate. On the back of the white van, they have a cloth hanging over where the license plate should be. Then they've got two great big bikes crossing so you can't see it. And I just happened to notice that two of my bags were right next to their vehicle. So as they were in their van ransacking purses and all sorts of suitcases and other valuables and wallets and all sorts of stuff, they didn't see me pick up my two bags. One was hemp and one was something else from Trader Joe's. Okay, so I get back over to 7-Eleven, and there's two more of my bags over there. And they left the Bible in one. They should have used that. It'd be good for them. They left some of my Christian doctrine stuff too. Bottom line is, these folks have a ladder on top of their vehicle, so they're easy to spot. And then they have a mattress. And I think it's because if someone falls off the ladder while they're trying to get into your home, they might hurt themselves. We need to start going after these folks who come in from other places just because it's wintertime with ladders and going through people's purses and bags and all sorts of stuff. This morning at 6 a.m., they were at Via Esmarca, which is only 2 or 3 blocks from where they stole my stuff. And we still haven't caught the perpetrators that stole from me 5 weeks ago with the pit bull almost took my thumb off. We're still looking for them. But the police need to be up at 7-Eleven. I will buy them coffee and donuts if need be. But they need to make their presence known because there's bad elements up there. From midnight till about 4 or 5 in the morning, bad elements. So please, let's get some more people up around there and clean up our city. And if you watching me at home, if you've been burglarized, if you've had your car broke into,
Thank you, Mr. Chapinski.
call the police department.
All right, we're going to go ahead and call the time certain items, public hearing items. We have 2 items, 15 and 16. We're going to go ahead and get started with item number 15. Staff recommends Community Development Commission adopt a resolution approving a development plan, tentative map, density bonus, and regular coastal permit to allow the construction of a proposed mixed-use development project comprised of 326 residential units, including 33 units reserved for low-income households, and 26,490 square feet of commercial floor area on a 2.72-acre site located at 401 Mission Avenue. This item was continued from August 6, 2025, per Oceanside City Code Section 2.1.40. Public hearing closed. I'm going to go ahead and call this hearing to order and request disclosure of commissioners and regarding constituent contacts and our correspondence.
None since the public hearing.
Same.
I did receive some emails, and yeah, and I think I may have had a brief conversation with staff.
I received an email update, and I ran into the developer in the neighborhood.
Yeah, brief conversation with the applicant and staff as well, since the last time.
Did you want to address your
Just to mention that I did read the emails. Yes, you were right. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with the principal planner, Manny Baeza, to present staff report addressing the CDC's August 6, 2025 direction. Mr. Baeza?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Again, Manny Baeza, principal planner, presenting this item for the Planning Division. Staff is recommending that the Community Development Commission adopt a resolution approving this project as described on this slide here. Some background on this project. On August 6th, this project was considered by the CDC, and They considered the project for the development of a 7-story mixed-use project to include 332 dwelling units, 18,682 square feet of commercial area, and 2 outdoor public plazas with a combined area of 9,449 square feet. After the presentation from staff and the applicant and receiving public comment, the public hearing was closed. At the meeting, the CDC expressed concerns regarding the project's density, the project's height, potential job losses, and consistency with the local coastal program. The CDC's main concern was the loss of the existing 15,462 square foot publicly accessible plaza, which was proposed to be replaced with 2 separate plazas having the combined area of 9,449 square feet. The CDC members cited the plaza's iconic nature and its heavy use by the public and its special importance to the community. After hearing the comments, the applicant requested a continuance to the October 1st CDC meeting to allow time to make modifications to the proposed plaza. Here we have a comparison of the original project and the modified project. The original project's on the left and the modified project's on the right. Modifications include the elimination of the central tower and elimination of parking on the north end of the building. That's shown on the left here in yellow. Those areas have been eliminated. And the new building features a 15,439 square foot public plaza and 12,000 square feet of commercial area separating the plaza from the parking lot. This slide shows the modified project. The new plaza is oriented to face Mission Avenue. Commercial areas are located along North Coast Highway and Mission Avenue in the south side of the plaza. A majority of this side of the building is set back 60 feet with the exception of the 2 towers located on either side of the plaza. A summary of the project revisions was provided in Table 1 of the staff report, and that's shown here. The most notable changes were the change to plaza area. It increased in size from the 9,449 square feet to 15,439 square feet. The decrease in dwelling units from 332 units to 326 units. The decrease in parking spaces from 591 spaces to 554 spaces, and the increase in commercial area from 18,682 square feet to 26,490 square feet. Staff notes that the decrease in dwelling units does reduce the affordable unit count to 33 units, which was originally 34 units. Here we have the plan for the plaza. It is approximately 250 feet wide and 61 feet deep. It is a 15,439 square foot sizable, cohesive, and open plaza oriented to Mission Avenue. The project proposes alternated colored concrete and decorative pavers set in a wave-like pattern, masonry pedestals for the display of public art. It's also furnished with benches, lounge seating, and chairs and tables with large umbrellas. The landscape plan features canopy trees and accent trees for shade. All palm trees have been removed from the design of the project. Here is a rendering of the plaza. Again, it's a sizable, cohesive plaza that faces Mission Avenue. It's really opened up from before. So. Here is a rendering of a public event being held at the public plaza, specifically the annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony. Here's an architectural rendering of the building. Changes are limited to the north side of the building facing Mission Avenue. The changed elevation has a symmetrical design with the building setback again 60 feet and the 2 projecting towers located at both ends of the plaza. The new building has double volume storefronts and 3 elevated flat arches added to the center of the building. The large arch in the center of the building projects outward at an angle and covers a new central roof deck. The modified project would reduce parking on site, but the project would continue to meet state density bonus law requirements for residential development and would continue to meet the originally proposed commercial standards. Overall, 545 parking stalls are required and 554 stalls are being provided. After publication of the staff report, it was determined that condition of approval 94 required revisions to address the city's and the applicant's interest. Staff is recommending that condition 94 be changed as shown in the slide and as provided in the memo to you before the meeting. With that, staff is recommending approval of the project consistent with what's shown here on this slide. That concludes staff's presentation. The applicant's here to answer questions as well.
Thank you. Ernie Rivas, come on up.
Council, I'm here.
Wow.
Sanchez.
Wow. Those two don't even look like they were even in the same room. It's just so fantastic. Great change. It's definitely iconic, definitely a destination.
Thank you.
And
my mom told me I have 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen more. And I hope we did at that last meeting.
You did. I understand there are no more public, there were no comments. No one signed up to speak. That's, yeah. Yeah, well, I'm advised that if someone had signed up to speak, they would have been allowed to speak. But no one signed up to speak. Right?
That was my error. The public hearing was closed. There was not an opportunity to sign up to speak. This was continued for the limited purposes of deliberation regarding the changes that were to the date specific. The council could reopen the public hearing, but that would not be, the people weren't advised that would be happening.
Right. And basically, I think most of the comments that I've heard was as to the plaza. So, Councilmember Weiss?
I appreciate the efforts. I think you took to heart, just looking at the exhibit that was shown, what the comments were made about the plaza, and I will move approval of staff recommendation.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and second that. Councilmember Figueroa?
First of all, thank you for, listening to the public and council, and I have a few questions, so I just want for understanding. Sure. I'll start with, I believe it was the project modifications in regards to the commercial space, because I saw there is more commercial space now.
Yes, there is.
On the northwest part of the building, it seems like you've eliminated the lobby area and made that a commercial space. Am I looking at that correctly?
Is that facing Mission Avenue where?
Correct.
Yes, we eliminated the leasing office and made it into retail.
And where's
or a restaurant.
And where's that leasing office going to be moving?
We have it on the second floor, right above there.
Okay, all right.
So parking will be coming in from the parking structure upstairs and going to the leasing office with directionals.
Okay. Yeah, and then can you explain the difference between the common open space and what does that refer to as far as the common open space of the property? Because I see the private open space, which that's self-explanatory, but the common open space.
The common open space would be the plaza.
Oh, so
area.
Okay, so
Right.
it's just on here twice.
Exactly.
Okay. And I definitely appreciate increasing the plaza size just short of 23 square feet of where it currently is right now, which I know that you had to reduce the amount of units as well to get that, correct?
We redesigned the entire building, took the power off, made the plaza open, and changed some of the unit mix in order to accommodate it.
A lot of work went on in the last 45 days in order to accommodate that.
Yeah, thank you for that. In the rendering, it says here that there's going to be 3 masonry pedestals for display of public art. Am I right to assume it's the red rectangular? There's 3 red rectangular.
It is.
That's what. Okay.
Yes.
And what, in regards to the public art, how do we choose what public art goes on? What is your plan or for the public art?
I work with CJ, Kathy Demento here, and we're still formulating exactly how that's going to work, whether it's going to be temporary art, whether it's going to be art that is permanent sculptures there. And what we talked about is providing some cultural art for depicting indigenous people here, the Samoan, Polynesian, the military, just the several cultures that have made Oceanside a cultural city.
And I know in the conversations that we had before it came up in August, you mentioned that you were working with the Historical Society to have some QR codes within the open space to point to some of this public art or provide history, or what was the plan behind that?
On the pedestals or anywhere in the plaza, we're planning on putting QR codes. In talking to Christy at the Historical Society, and we actually created a QR code to where you scan your phone and it goes directly to the website of the Historical Society. Now, I've also talked to Leslie at
Visit
Oceanside, and we can do that the same for her. So any events that could be going on in Oceanside, they could be scanned, they could be gone to their website, and it could be displayed on your phone. So that could be changing for different events and for different organizations that would like to have it on the QR codes and on some of the pedestals there.
And thank you for that. And within the design, I also saw that I still see 3 palm trees on the rendering, but I know that I appreciate changing the canopy, making sure that there's a proper canopy and removing the palm trees. Are those palm trees still going, the ones that are on the rendering, are those still going to be there?
Those are existing and they're city trees.
Okay.
So we left them there, deciding on what the city would like to do, whether they keep them there or whether they remove them.
But as far as the design, it will not.
Part of the design, we haven't touched the city trees. We've left that, but any design, any trees, any foliage does not have the tall palms.
Okay. And it's not on here, but are you going to have a specific space within the parking lot for the residents, for those that are using bicycles? Or what do we have in regards to limiting the potential traffic of having this development in the downtown area? Do we have anything on the property?
Yes, there'll be a bicycle storage area. There'll be bicycle racks. So there'll be designated area in the parking garage that will hold bicycles and bicycle racks as well.
Do we know how many?
Most likely in the front. Our architects here, I'm not sure exactly how many that there are, but yes, we've designed to have bicycle racks and bicycle storage there.
Which I think is important, because I know that we are a commuter region, but once folks get home from work, if we can get them off of their cars and walking and riding bicycles and, utilizing the downtown area, I think the more that we can make that accessible for the residents once they're there, so they're not utilizing their car to go down Coast Highway,
right?
But they can ride their bike and walk. And I do like the pathway from Coast Highway into the property and between the 2 commercial spaces, which I think kind of opens up that area. At our last meeting, there was many residents here that mentioned the Regal and the emotional connection to the Regal, and many folks said, hey, how come you haven't approached Sinopolis or other movie theaters? And I think you mentioned that you have. Can you share a little bit about that before where we got to where we're at now?
Right. As far as what we talked about is speaking with other theaters probably 2-3 years ago. What had happened with the Regal is several things. One, when we purchased the property, there was a parking agreement with, it's still in place for 779 spaces for the city. And there's an area that is designated for these 779 spaces with Pierside North, Pierside South, and Salt, and then there's another area. That took about 400 spaces from walking distance to the Regal. So the parking, it wasn't conducive to very comfortable parking next to the theater. Normally, theaters have either a parking structure right next to them, adjacent, or a parking field. This one has neither. And so the lack of parking at this specific site really hampered the attendance. Two, COVID in 2019 really eliminated it and closed it down for about a year. And it didn't help that they filed bankruptcy in 2022. And so, and even before then, they came to us to try to downsize and make the theaters smaller. We tried to look at engineered-wise, architecturally-wise, and it was impossible to do. In approaching other theaters, it's just too large of theaters. There's 17 theaters there for this specific area. And in the meantime, other theaters have been built and are much more easy to get to, et cetera. So we had a very difficult time getting another theater operator to come in. And right now, it's what we call it, it's on life support. We've kept it open.
Last question. I asked the question earlier about the bicycles for the residents. Are we gonna, is that separate from what is gonna be available for those using the commercial spaces? Are there gonna be areas for folks to essentially park their bicycles, chain them up, or?
Most likely, and we have a large parking structure behind there. If we don't have it in the front, which we probably will next to the coffee shops or the restaurants, we will have it in the parking structure in the back, in the rear.
Thank you. That's all my questions.
Sure.
Deputy Mayor Joyce?
So first off, it's not a question, but I wanted to offer a substitute motion that we reopen the public hearing. There's not that many people here tonight, and I think giving them a minute or two to speak on this project, which it sounds like a lot of them thought they were going to, and then it was confusing. Anyway, that my motion is to offer a substitute motion to reopen the public hearing before we finish making our motion. Second or no? We can do it.
It's kind of late. We're already deliberating, and you already have a motion on the floor in a second, and we did continue it only for the purpose of the plaza, really. So how many people are here that still want to speak, even though we're really into the deliberations and almost close to a decision here? I don't see anyone.
No, there's someone.
It's only a handful.
Okay, let's just have you, it's just you, right? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and come and speak. Sorry.
Good evening, Council. My name is Chase Preciado, and I am here on behalf of Supporters Alliance for Environmental Responsibility, or SAFER. SAFER respectfully requests that the City Council not approve the 401 Mission Avenue project at this time because it may result in significant air quality impacts, precluding reliance on CEQA's infill exemption. Instead, SAFER urges the City Council to direct staff to prepare a mitigated negative declaration or an environmental impact report for the project for the following reasons. First, staff did not analyze the health risk posed by the project's emissions of diesel particulate matter during the construction period. Diesel particulate matter is a toxic air contaminant and known human carcinogen. SAFER's air quality experts determined that the project's emission of diesel particulate matter would result in a cancer risk more than 8 times higher than the cancer risk threshold for toxic air contaminants set by the local air district. Second, SAFER's indoor air quality expert determined that the project would create a significant cancer risk to future residents due to the project's indoor emissions of formaldehyde, which is also a toxic air contaminant and human carcinogen. The source of these indoor emissions would be from the project's use of certain building materials such as composite wood products. SAFER's indoor air quality expert found that the project's indoor formaldehyde emissions would result in a cancer risk more than 12 times higher than the air district's cancer risk threshold for toxic air contaminants. Lastly, staff failed to sufficiently analyze the project's cumulative air quality impacts. There are 3 other mixed-use projects within a half-mile of the project site that staff is currently considering. However, staff failed to analyze the cumulative air quality impacts of all these projects being constructed. For reasons stated here and in SAFER's written comments, SAFER again respectfully requests that the City Council decline to approve the project at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm sure you did know that the public comment period was closed. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Please vote. Oh, you're not done yet?
No, I'm not done. Nope.
Deputy Mayor Joyce.
Okay.
No, that's it. Sorry. That's it. I just said the one. Thank you. No,
He
go
actually
ahead.
lives in the neighborhood.
The public hearing has been closed on this. We
Was it opened or not?
It was not
No, it
reopened.
was
Somebody
not.
else
It
open?
was not
Okay,
open.
so I have a motion to open the public hearing so that we could hear from the few people that did come.
I would second.
Okay, there's a motion and second. Please vote.
Motion fails, 2-3. Sanchez, Robinson, Weiss, no.
Thank you. Are you done?
I am not. So, that's unfortunate, y'all. It's like 10 people in this room. Okay. Could I ask, I do have a question for the member.
Are you
Yes,
through with
Mr.
me
Rivas.
now?
No, I got one for you here. Okay, so just as a clarity for the public's sake, condition 94 of approval stated that the owner developer shall process a separate easement dedication application for public recreational purposes located as part of the project plaza on the property. So this deals with how the plaza is going to be used and what the agreement will be between our two parties. This is a longstanding agreement that we talked about last time, and really to get at the use of it, it's to make sure that this remains a public plaza. That's kind of what we talked about. So can I ask just what was wrong with that condition of approval?
What's wrong with that is that, or not wrong.
It didn't exist, right?
What we were looking at with regards to the easement is extending out the easement and the condition for an additional 35 years. Not changing the use. We're not changing the use. It's going to be still used exactly the same way that it is today. So we didn't want language that could open up to a lot of other areas. We wanted the plaza to remain exactly the same use as it is today, with the same language, extending it out for 34 years, and with the change of the size and the dimensions of the plaza. That was it. Anything else, we did not discuss or would agree to.
Right.
In our last meeting, we talked about bird-friendly building.
Yes.
And I think you agreed to it. Is that in the documents at all? Or is it a verbal agreement? I guess this is a question for staff too. Has that been memorialized?
I have not seen a condition of approval that was been added to the resolution of that aspect. I wasn't clear if that was an affirmative agreement or not, and I would defer to the applicant and planning staff.
What we did with the bird friendly is we had a lot of balconies there that had glass. So one of the biggest issues with birds and with glass is that they run into the balcony that are glass. So the glass that we actually submitted was either, and I don't know this, whether it's either reflective or non-reflective, whatever it would be bird-proof, is going to be included in the glass for the balconies of where it's needed. And some of them, with the new design, actually eliminated a lot of the glass in the front.
Okay.
And that's already included in the plans right now.
Okay. All right, thank you. I think
I
Tobin.
was referring to our architect, Tobin, so he said, yes, it was.
Let's just see if our bird experts, is that? Okay. Okay, I think that's all the questions I have.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for all the work on the plaza.
Thank you for saying it's the wow.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor.
I'm not done talking about it. That's all my questions for our developer. So, speaking to the motion, I'm really, so just a couple of things for the council to consider before moving on this. One is that we do have a unit cap in our zoning ordinance, and the zoning ordinance sets the unit cap for the downtown area at 5,500. And when you look at the total units, this would put us at 5,144 total units in the downtown area. That would put us close to that cap. That also means October 7th, we're about to hear a whole lot of units going into the downtown area. Now, part of that's being asked to be carved out, but we also have many, many, many more hundreds that are being asked to be put in that are in the process of review right now. I just think we should be thinking about this globally in the downtown and not thinking about it as one project at a time, because these impact each other. The Oceanside Transit Center is literally right behind this development. It's going to have a major impact on the way cars and everybody get around our downtown area. I'm also very concerned about the open space. I think we can do more to improve the open space as it stands right now. And it's connected to the plaza idea. So the way that the current agreement reads, it allows pedestrian access, but I think the way it's been used since the agreement came through, because, by the way, the name of the agreement is a public plaza easement. It's supposed to be a public plaza. Under the current language, if we amend condition 94, I do think we stand the chance of losing passive use of that space for people that come through the downtown area. And the intent of preserving the plaza was to have that passive space available. So, for instance, if the restaurant that is at the rear of the plaza, if the owner decides that they want to do outdoor seating there, it could still be fenced off outdoor seating and not be an open space common to the plaza for recreational space. And that's why I think it's important to include our comments, the changes that were made to 94 in the original. So I would ask for a friendly amendment to revert condition 94 back to its original condition so that we can make sure the public plaza is actually a public plaza and not just a place where people can walk through, because that's the way it reads if we just continue on what it is now. So I'd ask the maker of the motion if they would take that on in their motion. Okay. I think another piece that I'm just worried about is that the Regal is something that does bring people from our city downtown. And with the loss of the Regal, it's another thing that is a magnet for our locals to be there, and it continues to be less and less of a place for our local residents. So I can tell where we're heading on this agreement, so I'll end my comments. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I do remember the comments by Mr. Rivas that the Regal Theater had stopped paying rent several months ago and was actually not doing well economically and probably would not be able to pay rent. And even though they did a lot of changes and improvements. So we have a motion on the floor. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you, and thank you for the wonderful changes, Mr. Rivas. Thank you. Item number 16, staff recommends City Council hold a public hearing and adopt resolutions approving the following rate adjustments for calendar years 2026 and 2027. A 6% average increase in city water rates in both 2026 and 2027. A 4% average increase in city wastewater rates in both 2026 and 2027. Increases to the city watershed protection charge, increase to fire protection line service charge per connection. Adjustments to external water agency pass-through costs from the San Diego County Water Authority and Metropolitan Water District. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open this public hearing and request disclosures from council members regarding constituent contacts and our correspondence.
Staff and public.
Staff and public.
Staff and public.
Staff, and I just received emails from public.
Staff and emails.
Mr. Navarro, have we had any correspondence and our petitions?
All the correspondence we received has been forwarded to council prior to the meeting.
All right, thank you. We're going to go ahead and begin with a presentation by John McKelvey, Principal Management Analyst. Mr. McKelvey?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor. I'm going to be sitting in tonight. That's okay. Fred Mayo, the new Water Utility Director for the City of Oceanside.
Right, thank you.
Jumping right into this. So a little background analysis. Oceanside delivers 44,759 portable water connections citywide, and that's over a 42 square mile service. To help kind of put that into perspective, we have about 800 miles of drinking water pipe. If we put those pipes end to end, that would get us all the way to Albuquerque. That's how big our system is. Our wastewater system, our collection system is about 500 miles. If we put those pipes end to end, that'll get us to Southwick. Just to kind of give us a little context of how big our system is. And that's with 33 pump stations. Capital improvement projects help improve system reliability, expanding local water sources, helping to reduce the need for future rate increases. Cost recovery comes through fixed monthly charges, water uses, wastewater rates are actually remaining in full control of the city. Pass-through charges from the Metropolitan Water District and San Diego County Water Authority are updated annually and represent the majority of our monthly. These proposed rates adjustments will take effect January 1 of 2026 and January 1 of 2027. Fiscal impact. This helps us ensure financial stability for Oceanside utilities, providing funds to support ongoing operations and future capital improvement projects, generates revenue to help operate and maintain that 500 and 900 mile long system, plus our 3 wonderful plants, generates revenue to maintain and enhance essential systems, ensures the city meets all debt service and coverage obligations, which is very important as well. The proposed adjustments of water rate increase is 6% projected to create about $2.8 million in additional. The wastewater rate increase proposed is 4%, which would project around $2 million in additional revenue. The fire service charge projected will add another $13,000 to a fund that has right around $200,000. And then the watershed protection charge looks like it's projected $49,000 with an annual review revenue increase, and that fund is right about $1 million. So here's kind of the breakdown. Here's the for a single-family water rate increase. Let me kind of explain what this graph is doing here. So the green bars down at the bottom are the San Diego County Water Association and the Metropolitan Water District. Red bars up on top are us, and the orange bar is for the watershed protection and fire protection. So the existing water bill right now for a lower water consumer, about 6 units of water a month, their rate increase would go about $8.19 with our proposed rate increase up. For folks that are using about 12 units of water or right around that area, they could see a rate increase going up to about $14. and topping out around $11.
Could you speak in the mic? I'm sorry.
Sure. Sorry, I usually have a pretty big voice, so. Can you hear me better?
I'm missing some of your comments.
Okay, would you like me to start over?
No, just keep going. It's just, this is getting really important part. So I want to hear every single word you say.
Absolutely. Okay, so the medium users around 12 units of water, they could anticipate about a $14.49 increase on their water bill year one, and then it looks like $17 in year two. For our higher users over that, the high water users in our single family, they can expect about a $25.88 increase year one and a $25.88 increase. So that's the bottom water. For our wastewater, in comparison, we're looking at typically right around a $2 rate increase for our folks that have a smaller water footprint that are using much less water, right around 16. So for our medium users, it goes up right around $2.58. And for the higher users, we're looking at about $3.61. Here's the part that we don't have control. These are our pass-through charges from the NWD, readiness to serve. The average decrease on their charges was 1.6% in 2026. Average increase for 2017 is forecasted to be almost 12%. The San Diego County Water Authority Infrastructure Access Charge, typically it's metered off of, gauged off a 5/8 meter. In 2026, it's going up to about $4.55. It's about a 0.2% increase and $4.89 in 2027, which represents about a 7.5%. The San Diego County Water Authority, the surcharge per unit is $4.35 per unit in 2026, which is an increase of 25.4%. And going into the second year of 2027, it's $4.99 per unit, which is an additional 14.7%. This kind of helps us get a little bit better of a sense of where Oceanside is with our residential monthly billing. Roughly 21 different water purveyors in the general area, and Oceanside is in the bottom third. We're down at the bottom left corner of the rate cost. So I feel like we're in a good position. On the wastewater side, we're up towards a little bit at the upper end. Our proposed rate is represented over there on the side of the slide, but we're still pretty close to about $60 a month. Recommendations are, staff recommends that the City Council hold a public hearing and adopt resolutions approving the following rate adjustments for calendar years 2026 and 27. 6% average increase in the city water rates, 26 and 27 years, and 4% average increase in the city wastewater rates in 2026 and in 2027. Increase the city watershed protection charge, increase the fire protection line service charge per connection, and annual adjustments to the external pass-through costs from the San Diego County Water Authority and all. That concludes the presentation.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. This is a time to hear from the public. With respect to this specific issue, and this is the rate adjustments for calendar years 2026, 2027 for water. So
we have
how many people actually signed up?
6.
Okay, 6 people signed up, and this is a public hearing, so we're going to call the first 6 people, and then after we finish with those 6, you do have a right to address the council on a public hearing without having signed up. So after that, I will go ahead and ask if there are anyone else, any other members of the public that wish to address the council on this. All right, so go ahead and start calling from the 6.
Jimmy Knott, to be followed by Gail Lacey, to be followed by Robert Wiltfang.
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sherry Lane. Also, I have been the past Senior Citizen of the Year, and I continue in that operation, is that senior citizens, especially those on fixed Social Security, are paying attention. What you have here is basically a pair of socks that they are being given this coming year with one sock. Basically, you are only giving them one sock. Because what you're doing is, you look at the rate of increase for COLA and Social Security, 2.7%. You want to raise water 6%. And then you want to raise wastewater treatment 4%. You have to remember that this business that you operate, and it is a business, is a socialized business that is operated for the common good. That is to enforce the California constitutional citizen mandate that water is a human right. You are responsible to have that voluntarily taken, to come forward with that responsibility to take and make this affordable for all classes. Are you making it affordable for those seniors who are fixed income or low rung of Social Security? Are you taking and looking at any other alternatives that those seniors who are on fixed low income that have an opportunity to say, okay, my bill is X, Y, and your bill that you're giving me is X, Z. How am I going to make up that Y to Z? You have not got a plan. They need a plan. You need to provide them a plan because that is their right and your responsibility. Please pay attention to your duty. Thank you.
Thank you. Gail Lacey, followed by Robert Wiltfang.
Yes, Your Honor. I brought a copy of I wanted to bring you 2 months' copy of our water bill, but how, can I just pass it here? I'm sorry, I'm Gail Lacey, and I represent the Women's Club of Oceanside, located at 1606 Missouri Ave.
I'm sorry, just really briefly, before you put your personal water bills into the record, you understand by putting your personal water bills into the record, there's private and personal information that would not otherwise be disclosed, such as your address, water usage. Oh, it's a business?
Yeah.
Even still, we don't typically disclose ratepayer information, so I just want you to be aware by putting that into the record, it's not going to be protected in the same way.
I think that our club is small enough and that they are concerned enough about the cost of utilities that we're happy to submit that.
Okay, thank you.
There's no personal information on there other than
No.
the address of the business.
All right, I'm so sorry. I'm representing the Women's Club of Oceanside, and I brought a water bill from June and September of this year to show you our water bill. The actual water consumed at the Oceanside Women's Club is 3.04, whatever that means. It's approximately 26 gallons a day, which is hardly any flushes. The Women's Club is only there 2 days a month for a total of 5 hours. We do have a little group that comes in and plays cards for 3 hours 1 day a week. So we're at a total of 28 hours in that facility, and our water bill is $3.04 the charge. The wastewater is $4.37, and yet we pay $85 a month. Now, I realize that you feel like your increase is not much, But when you look at us and you say, we pay you $1,000 plus a year, and we only use $70 worth of water and wastewater. Doesn't seem exactly fair when 90% of the women in Women's Club are retired and our club is not a business. We're not selling anything. We're giving of our time and our efforts and our funds to help the people in the city, and I see the light. Anyways, we are very concerned about the rates and the rate increase. The light came on, so I took it.
It's not read yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was done. All right. So you're asking for 10% this year and 10% next year, and I have to agree with Mr. Knott. Our ladies get 2.7%, 2.55% in '24, and 3.242% may be coming this year. So 5% for this, and then you're going to come back and tell us about San Diego Gas and Electric that needs more money, and they want a 12% rate increase again, and they had 12% last year. You are taking seniors, and you're making us become homeless, or that we will leave the area, and you'll have a completely different type of makeup in Oceanside. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I was looking at the document, so I think the only thing that has any kind of information is just the account number. So, thank you. Robert Wiltfang, followed by Valerie Pemberton. Excuse me. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Mayor Sanchez and council members. My name is Robert. I've been an Oceanside resident for about 22 years now. And really, I have two words for this proposal, and that is hell no. Taxes have gone up. Our expenses have gone up, and we're asking for a 10% increase. And as Mr. Knott said, the average increase looks like about 2.7% for Social Security. Average yearly increase for salary is about 3%, but yet for the City of Oceanside Water District, we're asking 10%. This raise is not only going to affect low income, fixed income people, it's also going to affect businesses with agriculture, restaurants. I think we need to do a better job at trying to figure out how to manage the money. We have recent increases in taxes. We have the continuance of Measure X. We have the money grab bag tax that is now into effect, taxing on 10% for a carryout bag. And then I just got an email last week asking for another tax that the council is looking to go forward for the City of Oceanside. So again, I think the city needs to learn, this department, water department needs to learn how to cut costs and not to tax citizens of Oceanside. And I urge you not to move forward with this tax increase. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Burke?
And I just wanted to make sure that we clarified that this is a public hearing and the oral testimony is appreciated. But for a Prop 218 protest to be considered invalid, it must be accompanied with a written protest prior to the close of the public hearing. So I just want to make sure that the folks that did appear here understood that.
Okay, thank you. Valerie Pemberton, followed by Shani O'Malley.
Thank you. I signed up as far as being president of the Women's Club, but since Gail Lacey already spoke on the Women's Club behalf, I'm coming to you as an Oceanside resident. I have lived here my whole life. So I've seen all the changes that have come and gone, whatever. And I just wanted to bring into perspective as far as how much of a difference it can wind up making in our bills. As far as a resident, I have a granny flat attached to my apartment, to my house and everything, but in 1 month, that was only myself there, I did not have a tenant there, that I got a water bill, the highest I've ever been in my whole life, no matter where I lived in Oceanside. It was over $500. And when I called the city water department to ask about it, because I said, I have records that shows I've never paid this amount, and as far as the water usage They tried to tell me that it was because that my sprinklers were coming on twice a day at nighttime. And I literally am up until 3 o'clock in the morning because I have a problem with sleep disorder right now. Anyway, I said, I know when my water comes on because I'm up with it and everything, and when it goes off. And I had my own gardener check my water system and a family member checked, and there was no water leak, there was nothing going on in either category. But right after I called and everything, my next water bill dropped $200 and nothing was changed. And then the following month, it went down another $200 and nothing was changed. So it just winds up being strange that out of the blue, I get a water bill that's astronomical for one person. And when I actually, even on the next month, when I had 2 other members, family members in my home, that my water bill still went down $200 and there was nothing changed. So it just seems, as far as that you guys are given such a high impact, and I know that, you know, it's happening throughout San Diego County, that people are getting charged with these water rate possibilities, because they have it on TV about San Diego, City of San Diego, happened the same thing happening. But it's like, it's ridiculous as far as, you know, where is our money supposed to come from to be able to pay these bills when they wind up, as far as keep charging higher and higher rates? It's, you know, I don't want to have to move out of the city. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. O'Brien, could you meet and talk with Ms. Pemberton? Ms. Pemberton, he's going to talk to you outside. This is our deputy city manager, Mr. O'Brien, because that does sound very odd that you wouldn't do anything and you got such a high bill and then it fell off over the couple of months, $200 each month. So if you could meet and talk with him. Thank you. Yes, thank you. So we are now at Shani O'Malley.
Shani O'Malley.
Yes.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Good evening.
Followed by Elvis.
I do
He's in
not.
the room, in the building. Rather.
Excuse me?
Elvis is in the building. Sorry, it wasn't funny, I guess. Okay.
I don't have a fancy speech prepared or anything like that. I am an Oceanside resident, and I have been for 26 years. We've lived in the same house. We, too, had a very odd bill situation. We were gone for 3 weeks out of the month, and our bill went up. I've been to the water department 3 times now in regards to the same situation. But as I sat in the back and listened to everyone else speak and voice their concerns, I'd like to echo what they have already said. Yes, I am retired and I'm on a fixed income, but I also think about the families who are trying to make ends meet nowadays, and it is so overwhelmingly difficult. Oceanside's fees, we're just getting choked by all of these fees, the wastewater fees, the fees. I mean, we could have $20 in water, and yet our bill is still $176. So there's just so many fees involved, and you do have to read the explanation of all the fees to understand what you're being charged for. I mean, there's a fee from the service charge for the customer charge. There's literally that many fees. It makes it very difficult to try to understand the bill. And then when you do come to speak with somebody here at City, they can't even understand it sometimes. And I was here for an hour to try to figure out what happened with that bill while we were gone for that whole time. And one of them even kind of shrugged their shoulders a little bit, going, yeah, I don't know. So if they don't know, then it's difficult for us as residents to try to understand and have the bill not be as comprehensible as perhaps it should be. But again, I echo what everybody else was saying, and there are sensitive groups that live in Oceanside. Not that we should be treated special, but just that definitely we should look at Oceanside as a community, and there are different levels that live here. And when I see the projects that are proposed for Oceanside, like the one that we just witnessed right before this water one, it blows my mind to see all these huge high-rises and that our little city is turning into Waikiki in a sense that it's losing its small charm, and the community feeling is also not there anymore like it used to be. And I hope when they do this large project here at the Regal that they do include that public area that you spoke of, because it does seem like it's going away from the locals and going more toward big business. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you'd like to go out and speak with Mr. O'Brien, he's still out there. All right, and Elvis?
Good evening, Jimmy Figueroa, Eric Joyce. So one thing I want to speak about was in the first agenda is I want to bring that up, and I just want to know, what's your purpose? What is it that, because it seems like, you forget where you come from. So what's your purpose here? Like, I mean, there's a lot of problems going on, like you got these problems going on that you got to fix, and then you want more problems? Like, come on now.
I'm sorry, are you speaking to the water rates? That's the item that we're on. There is another area for items not on the agenda. Is he signed up for that? No? Okay, you can add him to that. But we're only speaking right now about water rates.
Well, just give me 2 minutes to speak about the first agenda.
No, we have to keep the record clean.
I am keeping the record clean. I'm talking about something that you brought up earlier.
It can only be about this item. You will get a chance to speak on what you want to speak later.
Sir, I have, on the next agenda item, you could come up and speak for 3 minutes.
Yes.
All right, sounds good.
So that's where you could bring up your concerns.
All right, this is a time for the members of the public to speak on this specific item, which are water rates. Even if you did not sign up, you can still speak. How many folks would like to speak on this item? Okay, so we'll go ahead and take the first person.
Lane Stewart, 425 South Tremont Street. My question is on the water bills with the pass-through charges, because I know Oceanside mines its own water out of San Luis Rey and does that. I think it's, 20 to 30% of our total water intake, yet when I use 2 units of water, I pay pass-through charges for STWCA and MWD for that full 2 units, even though Oceanside produces a third of what I use. So I was just curious how that plays in. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council on this item? Please approach the podium, state your name, and you have up to 3 minutes.
Hello, good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Jessica Cooper, Oceanside resident for almost my whole life. So I'm here to urge you to reject or reconsider the proposed rate increases for water, wastewater, and the watershed protection and pass-through charges. A 6% annual increase in water rates, 4% for wastewater, and then additional hikes in watershed and fire protection charges on top of the other pass-through charges and all the other fees that we were talking about, just represents this compounding financial burden for residents who are already struggling with inflation, housing costs, and stagnant wages. So many of us are trying to do our part and conserve water. We try to follow the drought rules, we pay our bills on time. We're finding out even when we're away, we're still seeing these increases in rates. Our wastewater, our water charges, they're just somewhat unpredictable. Additionally, it's not only about the increases, it's about the transparency and accountability. So yes, 6%, 4%, it doesn't sound a lot, but what is the actual total cost that will go on top of an already stagnant hundreds of dollars cost for water? So I just want to ask you, have we assessed staff expenses, infrastructure, inefficiencies, administrative overhead, pass-through costs? Are there other ways that we can sort of mitigate these increases rather than putting them on residents? So I ask you to look at alternative solutions, maybe phased increases based on income levels, increases in the efficiency of these capital projects that we're talking about. Like, all of these other things are happening in Oceanside. Just think about the costs that are coming back on the residents. So I just urge you, please do not approve these rate hikes without a full, transparent explanation to the public and a plan to protect those who are most at risk of being priced out of living here. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council? Again, on this item.
Good evening. I just had a question, because I remember a few years ago when we went into
Could
water...
you please state your name for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sandra Martinez. We had a few years ago, we all cut back on our water usage, and we did better than most of the state, actually, right? We really complied. And for that, we were charged more because we weren't using enough water to cover the infrastructure costs, right? So our rates went up. So I'm wondering what is justifying these rates? Like she was saying, the transparency on this, because I remember also maybe 2 or 3 years ago, there was a water presentation, if I'm recalling correctly, saying the rates were going to go up. And I think these were in line with that. But one of my concerns at that time is our inflation was around 3%, which it still is, but yet the rates were going up considerably more. So I was wondering if this is because we don't use enough water, so we're being basically penalized to support the cost of it, or what the real reason is for the rate increases. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council on this item? I see no one else rising. I'm going to go ahead and close this portion of the public hearing and ask staff to respond to questions that have been asked by the public.
Mayor Sanchez, members of the council, Michael Gossman, Assistant City Manager, and I thought I'd open this up because Fred is pretty new to the city, so it wouldn't really be fair, but I heard a lot of great questions. I do understand the concerns that residents have. It's something that we actually take really seriously. The one thing to keep in mind is that the utility is impacted by rising costs as well. You know, the things that are driving our costs are electricity, fuel, chemical costs have risen, labor costs, both external and internal, have also risen. These are the things that drive our rates. And unlike other services provided by firms or even other city services, the only revenue source that we have is ratepayer monies. There is no other source. So,
and we do not add any kind of profit margin or anything like that on top.
No, all of the money goes right back into the system, both to keep it operating and maintained and safe, because water and wastewater collection is a huge public safety and public health issue. And we take it very seriously. We're very proud of the product that we deliver. I'd add that it is frustrating to see the rising costs. It's frustrating for us when we see rising costs that we have to absorb as well. But we try very hard to stay in the low end for the region. For instance, Carlsbad just approved a 49% increase to their water rates. We are not there. We are below median for both wastewater and water in terms of the rates that we charge. I was taking notes here. You know, one of the questions that comes up all the time is about separate rates for different rate payers, and that is prohibited by Proposition 218. One ratepayer cannot subsidize another ratepayer. It's just not allowed with the money that we collect. Regarding the concerns about people's usage and the frustration in controlling that, that's something that we would work with any resident on trying to mitigate. We've improved the technology in our system so that we can help identify leaks and areas where there could be efficiencies, and we want to help people minimize those costs. Like you said, we don't seek a profit. We want to minimize the costs. I think lastly, well, one thing I'd add, and then I'm going to hand it over to Alex, who's with Corolla Engineering that helps us with our Prop 218 study, which is required for any rate increase. It is a very transparent process. As a matter of fact, we have to notify a couple months in advance. This time we notified ratepayers of forthcoming rate changes and the costs that are the costs that we're incurring that are requiring those rate changes. So it is a transparent process. People can submit protests. In fact, Prop 218, if enough people protest in writing through the proper process, they could actually overturn potential rate increases. We received, I think, about 12 to 15 Prop 218 protests out of 50,000 connections. I think that says something about the quality of the product that we provide at the cost that it is. Lastly, before I hand it to Alex briefly, one thing that's frustrating when you look at your bill is how much of that is the pass-through. It's roughly about half of people's bills are pass-through costs. These are costs that we just don't have control over. How that works into people's individual bills, I'd hand it over to Alex a little bit, but Alex, if you want to take it.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Alex Bugby with Corolla Engineers. Good evening, everyone. Yes, so the pass-through, the way that we calculate that is for each year, we look at all of the costs that we're going to be incurring from SDCWA or MWD. We kind of allocate those to go into each of the different pass-through elements. So, you may see on your bill that there's a couple pass-through charges on there. So there's SDCWA IAC charge, there's our SDCWA surcharge, and then there's an MWD readiness to serve charge. So each of those reflects different costs that the city has to pay to San Diego County Water Authority in order to purchase water from the Water Authority. So the IAC charge from SDCWA and the MWD RTS, those are both fixed pass-throughs, so those are just a set charge per month based on the size of the meter that you have. The other costs that are covered in the SDCWA surcharge are variable costs from the Water Authority. So that's their water supply rate, the water treatment rate, and transportation. And then we also include their supply reliability charge within that pass-through calculation. I know there was a question on how exactly that's calculated and how that translates through into your bill. So, when Oceanside bills all of your, 44,000 customers, we don't have any way of knowing, right, which water you're getting, right? Are you getting water from Mission Basin or are you getting water from the Water Authority, or everyone is sort of getting a blend. And so to account for that, when we calculate the pass-through, we calculate that pass-through based off of all of the water that gets delivered. So we take those pass-through costs that are included in the SDCWA surcharge and divide that by all of the water that we expect to deliver. So you're just getting charged for that increment of water that's coming from SDCWA. And, to Michael's point, it depends. It's different for everybody depending on exactly how much water you use, but in general, for single-family customers, it's about half or a little more than half of your bill are all costs from San Diego County Water Authority. And when we look at those monthly increases, that we're seeing for this first year, just as an example for that medium customer, so on average, they would be going up $14.49. $2.30 of that is related to the Oceanside 6% increase. The remaining $12.19 is all passed through from San Diego County Water Authority.
Thank you. Any other comments from staff?
No, I appreciate the questions. We're here to answer any questions from council as well, but we're.
And then just to underscore, we cannot have separate rates, for seniors, for certain parts of the city. It's all meant to be charged what you actually use, not anyone else's usage. It's what you actually use.
Yeah, that is correct. So, one ratepayer subsidizing another is explicitly prohibited.
All right, thank you. Did you want to make a comment?
Just that before we move to deliberation and council questions, we do have a procedural item that needs to be run through.
Right. Okay. I always give staff time to answer questions that the public have made. At this time, before the council begins deliberating on the proposed rates, we need to take care of a preliminary matter based on new state law and the city's exhaustion of administrative remedies ordinance. Consistent with Government Code Section 53759.1, the city has adopted procedures related to the exhaustion of administrative remedies as provided in the notice of public hearing for this item. These procedures gave interested parties the opportunity to submit written objections that explain why they believe the proposed rates do not comply with Proposition 218. All written objections received by the city by the deadline have been reviewed and considered along with the city's responses, all of which are included in the agenda materials. State law further requires that the council determine whether the objections themselves warrant reducing the rates, clarifying the rates, or further review. If not, the council may vote to proceed with a protest hearing. To be clear, this is not a vote to approve the rates. It is solely a procedural vote to proceed with a hearing and tabulate the protests. A vote on the proposed rates can only occur if the tabulated protests do not reach a majority.
And so what you'll have seen in the agenda packet is we received one written objection letter pursuant to that new statutory procedure. Staff did provide full and complete responses to that objection letter as required. Again, this included in the statutory materials here. And so the council would, at this point, have the election to make whether to proceed or whether to follow those other two paths that were just laid out, which is to continue the hearing for further discussion or to not move forward with approving the.
Okay, what is your recommendation?
Our recommendation would be to follow staff recommendation to overrule the objections that were received and to move forward with deliberation on the proposed rates.
Okay. Councilmember Figueroa?
So we should have that motion before we then deliberate. You can deliberate on this motion, this component of it, but we should move on this procedural aspect first.
Sorry. Okay, so first, before you make any other comments, you have to address this issue before us.
Correct. This is specific to the procedural component of the objection, right? So did we receive sufficient objection that the city council would at this point not want to move forward, right? So basically, the motion would be that the written objections do not warrant reducing the rates, clarifying, or further review, and therefore we would proceed with the next component of the hearing, where you will then deliberate on and discuss and vote on the rates themselves. This is the exhaustion of administrative remedies part. This is a new statute that we adopted, a new ordinance we adopted earlier this year, persistent with the change in state law.
So I'll go ahead and make that motion. I will make the motion finding that the written objections do not warrant reducing the rates, clarifying the rates, or further review, and therefore we may proceed with the hearing. And I need a second for that. Okay, there's a motion and a second. Do we vote on that? Yes. Okay. Does anyone wish to make a comment as to this preliminary motion? No? Okay, there's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. And now I do this. Okay. Before proceeding to deliberate on the rates themselves, I will now ask the city clerk to tally the protests received and to read into the record the tabulation of the protests.
18 protests were received during the period since July 28th, 2025. According to the Water Department, 23,781 protests would constitute a majority protest. There being no majority protests, we can proceed to deliberation and/or a motion in relation to adoption of the rates.
All right. Thank you. So now we can go ahead and I don't recall, I believe Councilmember Figueroa.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few questions for staff, and I'll start with one of the last things that was said by staff, just for clarification. The 6% increase in regards, let's use, for example, the low end. So you said something along the lines on the first year, out of that $8.19 increase, I believe you said that the 6% would only contribute to $2 of that $8.19, and the other was through the San Diego Water Authority increase?
Yes, so I had stated for the medium user, but for that lower user, based on the internal Oceanside increase is 1.28 per, or $1.28, sorry, and then $6.91 of the 819 is related to the Water Authority.
So if council today decided not to move forward with that 6% increase, there would still be an increase of how much according to the San Diego Water Authority?
So I think I might defer to staff, but what you're seeing is kind of the full rate package, which includes both the pass-through charges as well as the Oceanside internal charges. So, if you did elect to just do the SDCWA, that small user would still see a $6.91 increase, yeah.
That was my question. Okay. So there was some points made by members of the public, but also just knowing the amount of community members in Oceanside that are on fixed income and that are low income. The United Way has a measuring tool online through United Way of California. It's the real cost to measure. Anyone can go on there, United Ways, ca.org/real cost. In there, the United Way created this measuring tool where you can put in your county, where you live, your family size, the people that live in your home, and it tells you pretty much, it measures the cost to live in your area just to make ends meet. According to the United Way real cost measure, for a person that is 65 years of age, just one person in the county of San Diego, they need to make $70,572 just to make ends meet. For a family of four, that's $111,096 to make ends meet. This 6% increase, and I totaled it all up because I wasn't sure about how much the actual from the city internal, the 6% would contribute to. But for the higher end, after year two, we're looking at almost over $600 a year increase for the higher end. On the lower end, we were looking at almost $200 increase, and that's including also the wastewater rates. And so, just thinking about the amount of families in Oceanside and also our senior community that are barely making ends meet, I think this increase, which can seem nominal when we look at what the city's portion of it would be, it can be extremely impactful in a negative way to our seniors and our families, our low-income families that are just barely making ends meet or even just struggling to get by. We've had multiple council meetings this year on how we can prevent homelessness, families becoming homeless for the first time, opening up a safe parking lot for families that have been hit by financial hardship. We've tried to bring tenant protections to prevent homelessness and assist our families. And then when I think about an increase like this, which I know it's important for us to generate revenue, to operate, maintain, and enhance essential systems for the city, and also think about our long-term financial sustainability. But when we start looking at one of the most essential things that we need to survive, water, and we've even had discussions earlier this year about removing fees for people just to get their water back on. For me, even though it's, this 6% can be a hammer for a lot of folks. And I just have yeah, I'm concerned. I'm concerned about the increase and just the impact that it can have on our senior community and low-income families here in the city, who are, so many are just struggling to stay here in the city, and many are really fighting, not to become houseless. And so those are just my comments.
Councilmember Robinson?
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. And Councilman Figueroa, I get your point. We all pay the water bills too, so it's one of those things where we have to vote on something that's just really sometimes distasteful. That's not our water, though. Our water is very tasteful, I think. So just to understand a couple of the charges, and I think in the staff report, the definitions are there, but I'm just curious. So we have these different classification of charges like flow charge, I'm looking at wastewater, or customer charge. When the money comes in, are those individual charges put towards specific things, or is all the money lumped together and then decided how it gets spent later? Does that make sense, Michael? I don't know.
Councilmember Robinson, it does make sense, and it depends on the specific charge. It's all accounted for separately. Some of it goes into operations maintenance, some of it goes into system improvements, infrastructure. I think it's, in some cases, yes, it goes to specific purposes, and in other cases, it goes to operations and maintenance of the.
Like the charge for public streets, is that just street maintenance, or is that cleaning, or what is that for?
That is for street sweeping and landfill maintenance, and looking to City Manager Borrego to help me remember what else that goes to, because that actually gets transferred over to Public Works. So we use the water utility.
You don't have to go any further.
Okay.
What you kind of making my point is that there are specific things that if we don't charge adequately to keep the services going, just take that one, for instance, then our streets aren't cleaned, aren't swept as often, maybe instead of every 2 weeks, it'd go to monthly, or which has an impact on our stormwater, which has an impact on, downstream, to use an analogy, I guess. I think that's the important thing to recognize here, is I get that, yes, any increases, but to not increase and not maintain our system, and I don't know if Mr. Mayo would even weigh in with his short time here to say, what you've learned about our water system, how it sits as far as reliability or something like that. Mike, well, go ahead. What have you learned about our water system as far as its reliability, and have you had a chance to?
I'm just starting to get the lay of the land of the beast, and it is a very complicated system. That's why it's a D5, a T5 system. So the public knows that's rated by the state of California as the most complex water treatment process and water distribution process. So it takes a lot of energy to clean the water and to get it out into the distribution system. There's a lot of pumping, there's a lot of electrical use to get the water to your tap, and more importantly, if not a little bit more energy, to have the water leave your house and get back to the treatment plant and then treat it so we can release it. So
right.
There's a lot of work there. That's the best I can answer your question right now. It's a big beast. Like I mentioned earlier, there's over 700 miles of water pipe. That's a tremendous amount, and 500 miles of sewer pipe. With that 700 miles of pipe, there's approximately 12,000 gate valves and butterfly valves out in the system. On average, an 8-inch gate valve is right around $4,000, $5,000. That price actually went up on gate valves in the last 24 months about 14%. And that's just one component. Brass has gone up, saddles and brass piping, tubing, copper tubing, all those type of products that we use in the water system, they have equally gone up around 8 or 9% over the last couple of years as well. So, and then you couple that with the cost of chemicals, it's about 14%.
Right, and thank you, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but you did great, so I appreciate that. I think that's the point I'm trying to make, is that if we fail to keep up on any one component of our system, it's so linked together that to not maintain it properly would just cost us twice as much or maybe even 3 times as much on the back end once you have system failures. Because right now, I think we do a really good job maintaining. I sit on the utilities, I'm the liaison for the Utilities Commission, and I listen to the reports and how many responses and things that our staff goes through. And we do a really good job of keeping the system clean, open, and, you know, when you turn this thing, water comes out, and when you do this, water and everything else goes away, and that's what we want. So, yeah, thank you. Sure.
Deputy Mayor Joyce?
Thank you. There's been a lot of talk about the San Diego County Water Authority lately. It's been in the news. If anyone's interested, check out Voice of San Diego podcast that recently, I think it was last Friday, they did a pretty long conversation about the San Diego County Water Authority. Could you talk a little bit about why, and I know you're new, sorry, why the rates are so high? Or I guess correct me if I'm wrong in what I'm going to state. From what I understand, choices have been made in decades past to purchase water at a certain level. And those choices ended up locking us into these really high prices for water, including pure water projects and other projects that may be long-term good for our stability or overall stability of water, but we actually have too much water in some cases. Does that sound somewhat accurate about the state of San Diego water?
Councilmember Joyce, yeah, that's true both from the Met and the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California and the San Diego County Water Authority. There were times when we had droughts, 10, 15 years ago that we made choices to get water. An example, and it's not...
The desal project.
Mayor Sanchez took the word out of my mouth. I mean, that's probably, if we looked at it, I'm going to, not to be dramatic, but that's probably $3,500 an acre foot. I mean, that is
the highest
expensive
cost.
water. Yeah. And so those decisions have impacted us. Now, is our water source, as you said, maybe more stable, maybe more in the long run, maybe more able to withstand drought in a state that will experience drought every single summer for here into eternity, hopefully? Because that's, anyway, yes.
Okay, thank you. And just for transparency's sake too, we did all the things when those droughts were happening, including reduce consumption, which was great because it's to stabilize, again, our water system for the long term, but it didn't help with the fact that we're buying expensive water. I know there are serious conversations happening at the San Diego County Water Authority about this. San Diego, the city itself, actually chose not to go forward with a much larger increase than I think we see in front of us today, as was alluded to, other areas doing larger increases too. I do want the public to know that we do work with staff on this all the time. When it comes here, we've already had a lot of conversations about what we can do to stabilize this. And so these kind of votes are not taken lightly in any sense of the word. It is one of the modern miracles, and it is kind of, if you think about it, kind of crazy, the fact that you turn on your tap and water comes out right when you turn it on. That's just a scientific and it's an achievement. And so I'm always in awe of that when we learn about how complex the system is. So I think that's all I had to say on that one. Thank you.
One of the things that we've been talking about behind the scenes is how do we keep our water rates as low as we can? And for me, this has been something that this discussion has been since the time I got on the council. We made decisions based on knowing that we are a community of lower income neighborhoods. And so I know I voted against and did not support the desal plant. It spouts water at a high rate, and you can't do any less. In order to produce that, it takes huge amounts of electricity. So that is an ongoing huge cost that is, of all the sources of water that we have from the Colorado River, from the Met, our own water, it is the highest cost water. And I'm sure several people wish that we hadn't done that. But at the time, it seemed like we were trying to look at ways of getting that, that amount of water. And there were issues with the Colorado River, if you will recall. There was, the drought hit that as well. And then with the Metropolitan Water District and the whole issue of the Delta, that is yet another thing that is not within our control. What we did in terms of making decisions is we directed staff to find a way to come up with our own local water. And we actually directed staff to come up with up to 50% so that we would not have to rely on so much on the Water Authority and the Metropolitan Water District. And that, once we had, and this is through our groundwater and also the pure water project that staff came up with, the first of its kind in San Diego County, where we got very low, the lowest interest rates from the feds, that we are actually have been working on trying to ensure the lowest possible water rates. What is not within our control, again, are the decisions that were made by the Metropolitan Water District in LA and from San Diego County Water Authority. The really, really, really bad news is that of all the revenues that the Water Authority gets, 80% is paying off past debts. 80%. So really their kind of general fund of what they can be doing now is only 20%. The Water Authority is heading towards what I feel needs to be a drastic decision on how it handles the budget. We in the county of San Diego, county of Oceanside, San Diego, I think have made really good decisions about how to ensure that we have water forever for our future generations, and that for us was pure water. That is a decision that was made by, was it eastern part of the San Diego County, and actually the city of San Diego. But because, and by the way, they were also looking at doing a duplicate conveyance project from the Colorado River because they did not want to have to deal even with the Metropolitan Water District. So I do think that we are finally getting to the point that we're at the table and talking very seriously about what we need to do with San Diego Water Authority. I do feel that for us, at least for the 25 years I've been on the council, that we've been making the best decisions for our community in terms of trying to hit that lowest possible cost of water. The pass-throughs, as you heard, is more than half, and we actually have to pay for that in order to get any water from the Water Authority, which includes the water from the Metropolitan Water District. So we understand, I think, I grew up in a poverty neighborhood. We understand that everything goes towards how we're going to get through this year. How is our community going to get through this year? I believe we are recommending the least amount to be able to provide that water. It's not to store water, it's not to, because we have enough water. I don't know where we are at in terms of hitting that 50% water producing our own water. I think we're at 30, right?
We're at 30, Madam Mayor.
30%.
Yeah, that's correct.
But I think we're doing as much as we can for us, for our community here in Oceanside. We are very aware that we have different economic levels in our community. Unfortunately, we have Prop 218, which says you can't subsidize someone else's water. And, will there be a day that we can have volunteers say, you can charge me more so that this other person can have less? I don't know. I don't even know if people would do that. Maybe there are such people. But I think that you do have transparency here. I've asked a lot of questions since when I got on the council, and especially about the water, our water rates. And I am going to be supporting the motion because I know that if we don't, we won't get the water. I don't think there has been a motion yet, right? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move that we adopt the resolutions. And that we continue to fight for our community at the Water Authority and also throughout our county in having these conversations, and that we finally do something about that 80% debt. That's something that, it's ridiculous. Soon it'll be almost 99%. What are we supposed to do with that? Councilmember Figueroa. Or is there a second to my motion? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. For staff, the 6% and 4%, so the 6% for the city water rates and the 4% for the wastewater, is there a way to maintain with a decreased amount increase in percentage? So can we do it with 5, 4, 3? How do we land at 6%?
I think Alex could probably describe the details, but essentially the 6% and the 4% are what we need to maintain and operate the system as it is now. And I think what Councilmember Robinson was getting at was any decrease in cost is going to have some impact on the maintenance and operations of that system. Will we see it today or tomorrow? Maybe not, probably not. But if you don't maintain it and operate it at the level using the chemicals and the electricity and all of the pipe fittings that Fred so eloquently described, you will see a decrease in the quality of our water system. The rates that we arrived at, we didn't back into them. We arrived at them as those are the rates that are required based on all of the costs that go into it in order to maintain and operate the system that we have today and the system that we want tomorrow, that system of 50% local water supply as part of that, so.
And so if we go below 6%, we're looking at potential detrimental impacts for the city of Oceanside?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Weiss?
Yeah, I just want to point out that for this current year, and I'm not talking about maintenance and operating expenses, I'm just talking about capital improvements. The council approved a $77 million expenditure budget. To date, the department, and this is for both water and sewer combined, has spent about $2 million. And that has been reasonably consistent over the last several years. Whatever we approve for capital expenses, the expenditures are significantly less than 50% of what was budgeted. To the point that the combined fund balance in both the water and sewer funds is about $230 million. At 2.5%, the interest on that $230 million is going to be just as much, or if not greater than the 4% and the 6% rate increase that we're proposing today. So to me, and I get that there's large projects coming, but there's been large projects coming for several years and we still haven't spent the money down. To me, is start spending the money on those key projects and demonstrate that you actually, just because we can raise the rates doesn't mean we should raise the rates. So I will not be supporting the motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion fails, 2-3. Figueroa, Joyce, Weiss, no.
Councilmember Weiss?
So I'll make the motion to approve staff recommendation, but to cut the city portion of the rates in half.
Second.
What will that do to our delivery and the quality of our water?
Madam Mayor, staff will have to take a look at what this will mean for this year's projected revenues, because when we do our budget, we take a look at the rates that we assumed, and we make certain assumptions around revenues, and then we build in the maintenance and operations expenses, as well as the various projects, the maintenance projects, not capital projects. And then, so some of that will have to be cut. We don't know what that is from here, but we will
We'll have to cut some maintenance.
We will have to cut some maintenance in order to do that, yeah.
Right. Because the projects themselves, the funding is for the projects, not for paying the water rates.
Correct.
Right. You can't use it for that.
And we do have, I will add that we have $170 million in projects that will be coming to council by the end of this fiscal year. Those have a 2 to 3 year duration. They're large projects. So, I mean, as I understand Councilmember Weiss's concerns about spending down the monies that we have. One of the things that I've spoken with Fred about since he came on as the director was that is a huge priority for this council and for me and for City Manager Borrego, is that we get those projects out the door. He's heard that loud and clear, and I expect that, and he's assured me that you will see that happen.
Yeah, we can't delay them because any delay adds cost to the projects.
Correct, time value of money, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're looking at the downtown pipeline project coming to council very soon. We're looking at Mission Bay, the well, the RO. There's a pretty extensive expansion and modernization going on over there. I was talking to the folks over at Weiss. There's a very much needed electrical upgrade that we're going into preliminary design on that right now. Those projects are very big. We're looking at 3-phase electrical transformers, switch gear, the feeder wires that are coming off the transmission lines over at Weiss. Those are tens of millions of dollars worth of projects, and same with the Mission Bay. So these are very big, ambitious projects. We're looking at the lift station for La Salina. We have to get that built before we could start working on the La Salina plant as well. And there's also projects that we need to take care of there to keep that plant running efficiently as well. So there's some very big ticketed items coming very soon. And I took this job on to make sure these jobs did come to bear, right, and the pure water. And they're big ticket items. And yes, there is a balance there, but those are going to be coming down very, very quickly. And my concern is we're going to get to a point where we can't keep up with what we need to do. Like I referred to earlier, this is a very complex system. Parts of the system are starting to get aged out, and those systems are very expensive to replace and to modernize. And we're at that cusp now to make those start happening.
For the short term, we may look at maintenance issues, and worst case scenario, those maintenance issues become a problem.
Absolutely.
And then we end up having to pay more.
Pay more.
To fix that.
That's right.
And
because
possibly even have issues with the water board.
Yes, potentially. That is correct.
Because they charge millions of dollars for.
Yes.
Yeah. Councilmember Robinson?
Thanks, Mayor. I don't know if I'm going to do this the right way, so I'm happy to be tutored on it. The things that Councilmember Weiss talked about, I know he had an email asked for with some stuff, but I kind of looked at it, probably didn't understand, to be honest, all the nuances with that and the nuances with the water department budget. And so I don't know the right way to do it, but I'd like to make a motion that we bring this back and allow staff to, now that they know what the questions we have and we're looking at, to give us that real picture rather than try to argue it here. I think it would just be better if they had some time to say, hey, here's all the big projects we got coming. This is where the impacts. And if Councilmember Weiss is correct in his assessment that, yes, we can do this, then I'm interested, but I just don't know that I can do it tonight.
Right. So a motion to continue the hearing, and it would be until the next, when would be the,
We would recommend do it to a date certain, because this was agendized as a
Right.
public hearing item.
so
The
how long
public
would
hearing-
it take to come back with responses to some of the questions that were asked?
Madam Mayor, we could be back in a month.
Okay, so that would be the second meeting or the first meeting in November? November 5th?
Yes.
Okay, a motion to continue takes precedent. So there is a motion by Councilmember Robinson for a continuance. I'll go ahead and second that. Deputy Mayor Joyce, did you want to speak to the motion to continue?
Yes, please. I'd like to include with the motion to send a request to San Diego County Water Authority that they be present to talk about the reasons that they have the pass-throughs that they do. So if we could request their presence as well.
Well, we could do that, and they may or may not come.
Yeah.
If I were them, I probably wouldn't come. But anyway, there's a motion second to continue to date certain of November 5th. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and continue with item 18, which is comments from the public regarding items not on this agenda. We had, let's see, Diane Nygaard, followed by Karina Jimenez, followed by Jimmy Knott.
Honorable Mayor, whoops, Jimmy, I know you'll fix that for me. Diane Nygaard, representing Preserve Calavera. Back in August, I commented on the 6 density bonus projects that will have a huge impact on our downtown. They've got a lot in common. Most exceed the density limits for downtown that you approved over a year ago. None meet the minimum open space requirements for multifamily housing, which is a minuscule 200 square feet per unit. All have locked in existing impact fees, so they will not be paying their fair share for parks. All will add congestion to streets that are not feasible to widen, so we get excess traffic with insufficient mitigation. All just meet the minimum requirements for affordable housing, and only one has made a significant effort to address impacts, and it wasn't the one you already approved tonight. Anyhow, please take these specific 8 actions that are all within your control to fix these projects and support a vibrant downtown. Number 1, direct staff to prioritize implementation of the downtown density limits you approved a year ago. We don't want to come back next year with a new complete list of projects that have still exceeded that limit. 2, direct staff to work with developers for all density bonus projects to minimize the waivers of open space for residents. 3, adopt updated park impact fees as soon as possible. And for projects like these that locked in lower fees, ask for a voluntary contribution to parks. 4, require all of these projects and all in our smart growth corridors to include a transportation demand management plan as a condition of approval. The OTC and 801 Mission projects have already agreed to do that, as well as 3 other projects in Oceanside. 5, direct staff to explore options for creating a revenue source for alternative transportation. Other cities have done this by having transportation impact fees cover all modes, not just cars. We can do that too. Direct staff to consider adopting the voluntary bird-friendly provisions of the 2022 building code and ask for voluntary compliance in the interim. 7, require no palm trees in landscaping plans. Replace them with canopy trees that enhance the streetscape and create a better environment for using transit, biking, and walking. And 8, work with other cities to be more proactive in taking back local control of these critical land use decisions. We need you to take action to save our downtown. Thank you.
Thank you, and I can tell you that our park impact fees will be before the council November 5th. That's the targeted date. Karina Jimenez, followed by Jimmy Knott, followed by Michaela Ramirez. I think I saw Karina leave. Mr. Knott, followed by Michaela Ramirez, followed by Sandra M.
Mayor, excuse me, and council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sari Lane. Wanted to talk about tonight about something that I was seeing earlier this week that really tugged on my heart, and that was a police officer, one of our police officers assisting a homeless person. It was really something to see. I really appreciated it. The person was in obvious distress. I was waiting in line to turn at a signal light, and this female officer she had her vest on, fully equipped with all sorts of stuff, overweighted with the equipment. And the lady she was helping was very light-weighted, and it's like she hadn't eaten for days or something. And what happened is that she was vigilantly trying to help her find something. She was taking time and being very caring. It tugged at me. And it tugged at me so much, I lost my time and space and where I was at. And someone behind me had to beat their horn in order to get me to move, because it was that important. And I wanted to take a moment and say thank you to OPD for that, caring moment, that it really tugged at my heart. There is also in line with that, just wanted to share with you that tonight, with the thing with this water rates, and then this has been going on for a long time, is that we can start looking at alternatives. Looking at, you have a home budget. In a home budget, you can share from one need to another need, shifting the pockets that you have. If you can't take it from the water and sewer funds because of Prop 218, let's see if we can do other shifting to free up funds for that individual so that they can make those funds available to fit into the water sewer fund. See if we can take and free up some way to provide those funds. It's a little bit creative process, and I would encourage you to look into it. It's part of caring. Thank you.
Michaela Ramirez, followed by Sandra M., followed by Lane Stewart. What's happening this Friday? What's your superpower?
So I just wanted to show a video. Oh man. This video, my cell phone. Oh.
Do you have a mic? Can you?
It's okay. Okay. Thank you.
We've never had an event like this before, ever. I've been on the council for 24 years, and nothing like this has ever happened.
First, I want to say thank you to Mayor Sanchez, the city manager, Eric Joyce, and every single council member here in really elevating the event, What's Your Superpower? I know that there has been some mentions when I was speaking with certain people within the city about why does this make a difference? Kids don't even start by taking opioids. They do other things like drink alcohol or smoke weed or whatever else. But unfortunately, in our day and age, opioids and usage of pills is very common among our youth. It's actually one of the first gateway drugs that I actually speak to a lot of children, especially with my master's degree and working with children and disabilities. A lot of them are placed on ADHD medication, all these different types of pills. Tylenol is an easy remedy that kids are just used to. So when I started speaking to more and more youth here locally and throughout North County within not only just the skate community, just the community in general, a lot of them, for some reason, feel that they're able to open up to me about some things I wish they would never share. And that's been one of the problems. A lot of children just starting with pills and snorting them. They aren't doing other stuff. They're just doing pills. So I want to say thank you so much for opening up the doors and understanding the pandemic of what's going on within our youth, how sobriety is so important. Skating is our culture. It's something that has started here. Even freestyle skating is from Oceanside. And I really appreciate you guys really advocating for this event and making it happen. So there was two asks I had. I wanted to get in touch with the Youth City Council because I really want them present. And the second one is I've spoken to a couple city employees that have not received a comm or an email on this event, and they have children. And they actually asked me to come to this meeting to see if you guys can do an email blast to your city employees and staff. So that's it. And I'm sorry for going over. Thank you.
Mr. Navarro, could you connect her with the Youth Commission?
Yeah, we will get her, we have her information, and we will connect you with our Youth Commission.
Thank you.
Can you do an email blast? Will you guys also do a city staff email blast?
Okay, Mr. Borrego said yes, he would do it just for you. No. Thank you. You have to do it tomorrow, because it's Friday.
Hi, Mayor and City Council and public. I'm really concerned about our free speech rights. I support people's right to speak their mind, even people that act like bullies and yell hateful slurs at people they don't agree with, kind of like happened last week or 2 weeks ago at the meeting. That's actually what prompted me to speak tonight. I don't believe in silencing opposing opinions. If you have to silence an opinion, it means you can't defend yours. California has a new social media censorship bill, SB 771, and it's on the governor's desk right now for signing. And I'm urging everyone to call him to veto the bill. Over the past few years, we've seen consistent violations of the right to free speech at the federal and state level. The case of Ayuduri versus Massachusetts is about the government surveilling and blacklisting a minority political candidate, eventually silencing his speech in the midst of his U.S. Senate campaign because he criticized the government. The courts found in favor of the Dr. Ayuduri. In the case of Biden versus Missouri, the courts looked at the constitutionality of the Biden administration using its power and influence to pressure and intimidate social media platforms to remove or limit select information. Mark Zuckerberg recently verified those claims. The 5th District's court sided with the plaintiff. California censored doctors by making it illegal for doctors to disagree with politicians. Assembly Bill 2098 censored what physicians could say about COVID-19. If a doctor violated the government point of view, they could lose their license. This law violated their rights to free speech and due process. So I'm wondering where you were, Eric, on that one. Recent actions by the FCC and statements by Attorney General Pam Bondi show how censoring speech can be a trap. If you agree as to what is hate speech, you align with particular views. But as those in power change, the views of what constitutes hate speech might change, and you could find yourself on the opposite side of the law. Currently, SB 771 is up for signing. It aims to ban speech the current administration dislikes and force social media companies to do their bidding. The UK's gone full-on totalitarian. It's just like out of George Orwell's 1984. We can't let that happen here. Removing free speech is the most effective way to destroy a society. It's not a slippery slope, it's actually a cliff. So I'm just asking people, if they're so inclined, please call the governor tomorrow and ask him to veto SB 771 and keep our free speech. Thank you.
Thank you. Lane Stewart, followed by Patty Kay, followed by Susan Custer.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. My name is Lane Stewart. My wife and I reside at 425 South Tremont Street, and I'm here to present my thoughts on the projected impact to South Tremont Street due to future development. This map here shows the projected changes to South Coast Highway. The black vertical lines at either end show Missouri Street to south to Oceanside Boulevard. The blue line represents Tremont Street, and the red lines represent stop signs at Wisconsin Avenue. As you can see, there's only one impediment to traffic between Oceanside Boulevard and Missouri Avenue on Tremont Street, and that is the stop sign at Wisconsin Avenue. My concern is any driver residing in the Oceanside Transit Center apartments that are planned to be developed, of which there will be 550, or any other driver wishing to access the transit center or any residence or business along the west side of South Coast Highway would choose Tremont Street to avoid Coast Highway, especially those who live, work, or utilize the transit center as having to avoid making a left turn across the southbound traffic. This applies to those heading south, possibly to connect with I-5 or going to Carlsbad, or those heading north via Oceanside Boulevard or Coast Highway. Now, this document is from the City of Oceanside's Engineer and Design Manual. It shows, highlighted in blue, that Tremont Street is a local street with the average daily trips in a 24-hour period between 200 to 1,500. And it only has 3 inches of asphalt. Now, this document was provided by Santec. That was the company hired by Toll Brothers to do the Oceanside Traffic Center transit study. This was provided to me after the Planning Commission meeting on this project. This document shows that Oceanside Local Street has a maximum capacity of 2,200 cars, 700 more than the city standard. And Stantec projects that the traffic on Tremont would increase to 3,300 a year. And the document shows that the projections are based on Coast Highway being 4-lane through 2050. And that's causing me to think there's going to be more traffic on Tremont Street than they say. So my concern is that Tremont Street's going to become extremely busy and without some form of mitigation, a danger to public safety. Also, as built, the road is not designed to handle the projected volume of cars. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Patty Kay, followed by Susan Custer, followed by Elvis.
I understand that the purpose of the council is to protect the citizens and provide for their prosperity, and I don't see that happening, I'm sorry to say. I don't see you fighting Sacramento on this housing development in downtown, which is ruining our town, which he said was over 5,000 units, when I don't want to hear about workforce housing again. because this development downtown is anything but. When you have all these 5,000 plus units, 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom, and you do not fit workforce housing in those units, plus there's no area for a family. So all this density downtown is not for Oceanside, and it's not for Oceanside is for anything but tourists. You're going to have outer towners. The second thing that I wanted to talk to was you all took an oath when you were installed on the council to uphold the federal and the state laws. But you seem to have violated that at the last council meeting when you voted for sanctuary city, and there's no doubt about it. That's what you voted in, sanctuary city laws. The definition of sanctuary city, if you didn't know, is a city in which the local government and police protect undocumented immigrants and refugees from deportation by federal authorities. And that's exactly what your law, all of you voted for. Yes, it is. And I don't care if it was in your protocol before, who voted it in your protocol? Was it you at some time that I missed, or was it the city manager that put it in your protocol? Because it is, yeah. So anyway, I'm advocating for the citizens of Oceanside, the citizens of the United States in Oceanside, and so I want to give them a reference. And I will put this up here on the over. Citizens of the United States in Oceanside, this is your protection, even though the council is protecting the illegal. So when you need it, keep these numbers handy. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan Custer, followed by Elvis. And I think that would be the last, yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. During the last council meeting, Councilmember Figueroa and Deputy Mayor Joyce brought forward a draft resolution to, quote, not support or contribute to federal immigration enforcement. The total time spent for that topic was over 3 hours. There were about 65 public comments, and then the council discussed the topic. What I learned during the council discussion was completely shocking. Most of the shocking comments came from Mayor Sanchez. And Mayor, I do want to thank you for your enlightening comments, which I will refer to now. Mayor, you stated that we, Oceanside, don't have authority over the feds. We don't even have authority over the state. I assume that Eric and Jimmy both realize that this is true, and therefore the city has no authority over ICE, as they are under the authority of the federal government. The next statement from the mayor that I wish to address is, quote, great news for all of you. Oceanside has almost done everything on this list. In this case, she was referring to the nine items on the resolution. Then the mayor went through each item, and I will summarize her statement. Number 1, the city has been doing this since June. Number 2 and 3 are already the law. Number 4, per the city attorney, we already do this. Number 5, per the Oceanside police chief, stated in an article, Oceanside follows SB 54. No statement was made on number 6. Number 7, it would help ICE to target certain neighborhoods. Number 8, the cities use the resources they have to help the people they can. Number 9, best to contact Mike Levin's office. What we learned is that most of the 9 items on this list are either law or policy already. So why did Joyce and Figueroa have the city and 65 residents waste over 3 hours on this topic? Do they not know the current policy and law? The only logical reason for this waste of time, money, electricity, etc., was to help Eric Joyce get media attention for a future election. In my opinion, this is unethical for a representative to use resident city resources and fellow council members like this. Please don't do this again. This resolution was a complete waste of time and city resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Elvis? Okay, you had to leave, okay. So we're at mayor and her council, council member comments. Anyone wish to comment? Deputy Mayor Joyce.
Thank you. We had the honor of attending the North County Transit District's 50th anniversary, so 50 years of getting people around the city. I want to thank Councilmember Robinson, who is a former representative there, who was there as well. It was really cool to meet lots of folks who have served in the past and who have dedicated to get our city and the rest of North County to where they want to go, and really committing to the next 50 years of doing it in a way that moves with the times. I did have the chance to also visit the Brother Benno Indoor Market and volunteer with them. It just highlights some of what we talked about earlier. There was a line to get food all day long from Brother Benno's. And, you know, I worked in the back, but I kept coming out, and every time I turned around the corner, there's still more people, seniors, young children with their parents. Food scarcity is really a big issue right now, and unfortunately, the U.S. Department of Agriculture has announced that they are no longer going to be tracking that, which is devastating. It has been the most comprehensive way that we track food scarcity, and now we are losing it. So luckily, we have locals that are stepping up to do that tracking here in San Diego County, but it's a serious problem, and it does require a lot of our efforts. This morning, I had the pleasure to attend Senator Blake Spear's Senior Scammers event hosted at the Country Club Senior Center here in Oceanside, and it was a packed house. We also had Oceanside PD's Lieutenant Young present on financial scams for seniors. I was blown away, for one, at how common and how much information they were able to present on this, and how much better we need to do to get that information out. This year alone, from January to now, in Oceanside, we've had 55 reported online financial reported scams, and they've taken over $1 million from folks just this year. Last year was $1.5 million. Most of this can be solved by having everyone have a connection where they can talk to and just bounce ideas off to say, hey, does this make sense for me to do this? And two, just getting out some of the helpful tips about how to respond, because part of the problem is that these scams are always getting updated, and they are finding new and clever ways with AI to attack basically our vulnerabilities as a human. So it is really a sad, and unfortunately, those are the only ones that are reported this year. So many go unreported because it does cause a lot of shame for folks, and it shouldn't, because everybody is human and makes mistakes. So I'm going to put resources with that in my newsletter, but I just wanted to shout out that really amazing work by our own OPD and Senator Blake Spear. And then I would ask if it's possible to get council direction for us to actually have an agenda item to address all of these downtown specific issues that are coming up, whether it comes to circulation, whether it comes to the downtown density. I feel very strongly that we need to have this conversation that keeps coming up one at a time in all of these developments. Diane Nygaard brought forward a bunch, but there are also many that, Lane Stewart brought up some with the traffic. We just need to have a conversation, because we are literally looking down the path of, 1,000+ units, and we need to know what the plan is for the people that I represent in the downtown area. So I'd like to have direction from the council to address that. If not, I can bring it back as a council member item, but it's imminent. A whole separate meeting on its own, like a downtown workshop?
Workshop, because I'm sorry.
I think that sounds...
Yes. Thank you. It's such a big topic, and I think the testimony we're going to need from experts to talk about things so I would take that. I don't want to take it as a council item and be here till midnight trying to figure it out.
I'd appreciate that. So I don't know if we can get an update memo on like a projected date from that, from the city manager this week.
And we are going to have still a workshop on the
Transit center.
priorities
Are we?
before the budget. We're supposed to have that, and it hasn't happened yet. So we need to schedule that as well. Yeah.
So that's sufficient though for direction?
But I don't know if, yeah.
Yeah, honorable mayor and council members, we'd be happy to prepare a memo and just give an update and some recommendations in terms of how to broach these topics. And I will say that looking at Ms. Nygaard's list, which was presented earlier today, we're probably working on about half of those items
Right.
already. And I think it actually provides an opportunity for us to provide council with an update in terms of the
updates,
progress
yeah.
that we're making on those items as well.
But we're also going to have a priorities.
Yes, that would be a goal of ours, is to come back to this council and get some direction on priorities as we move into the next budget year, as we will start kicking off the budget process shortly. One other thing that I would remind this council of, and I know that it's come up before and it's something that's kind of weighing heavily on my mind, is the outcome of SB 79, which is now on the governor's desk, because I do think that there are some significant implications to the city if in fact he does sign it as it's currently written. And I have some thoughts in terms of ways that we might be able to mitigate some of the impacts of that legislation. And I would like to share those with council if that bill is signed. And I know that deadline is coming up pretty quickly.
So I will say that we are at Sandag, we are going through the 2025 regional planning. And of course, it's all there, right, including transportation and transit issues, projects. If SB 79 goes through, if we improve transit, we end up in Tier 2, which means that we can see buildings up to 7 stories within residential neighborhoods. So it is a huge disincentive to have SB 79 tied to transit in such a way as we're not going to want to improve the times. And in North County especially, and outlying areas in general, North County, East County, transportation projects are funded less than, say, the metropolitan area. But whatever happens with SB 79, transit is going to unfortunately have to take a back seat. Otherwise, we are going to, in fact, end up with these projects in Oceanside in residential neighborhoods. There were some last-minute changes, I believe, made the bill actually worse for areas like ours. So there's a lot to talk about post finding out about SB 79, whether the governor's going to sign that. Certainly will be hugely unpopular statewide. I don't know of anyone who actually supported it other than, I guess they ended up getting some union support at the very end, which made it worse for us. But anyway, there's a lot to talk about on post SB 79. And also, with respect to our federal funds, should the news that we will be getting, pretty severe cuts happen, the prioritizing is going to be extremely important. I'm sorry it didn't happen this past year, but perhaps now especially it'll be extremely important. We did have the Army Corps of Engineers here in town this past week with our Congressman Mike Levin in going through the flood control project, and they're wanting to go faster, which is good to hear, to the point where they want to outsource some of the work that needs to be done in order to get those studies to us so that we can get going on that, as well as the shoreline study. that we hope will be consistent with the Rebeach project. There was a little bit of pushback, and I pushed even back harder. Because they're talking about costs of projects. And I do believe that what we need is for them to do the sand, and that we will be looking at potential independent funding for the actual project, especially since it's it's the pilot project. But yeah, there's a lot going on right now, and there's a lot of stories right now trying to analyze and predict what's going to happen with funding for homelessness, which is huge. They are changing definitions and changing policies right now. Our housing department will have to move quickly to adopt those changes. But the way they are changing the policies, how they even define the admin fee, which is 15%, which funds our personnel in the housing department, 98% of the of the housing department. They are actually going to, even by the definitions, they're going to give us less money, less than the 15%, probably closer to 10%. So there's a lot going on. Deputy Mayor Joyce?
Yeah, it just wasn't done yet.
Oh, okay.
So I just wanted to make sure that we were clear on the expectations. So we'll get a memo that includes when we can have a workshop on the downtown area.
Yes, so the intent of the memo would be to provide an update on all the activities that are going on currently and planned for the downtown area. Setting the workshop, I mean, I'd prefer to get council direction on that, quite honestly. So if you want to bring a council member item forward, that would be great.
I think we have direction tonight.
Unless there's concurrence tonight, and I sense concurrence from the majority that they are interested in the workshop, and then I'd be happy to identify a date and work towards that.
But I do also want to have a date for the prioritizing, because we did give direction previously.
Yes.
And that's going to be extremely important.
Yes, it will be.
Okay.
With the workshop, just making sure that it is, with the potential implications of SB 79, just making sure that it's sooner than later.
Yes, and as I was thinking about it earlier, it kind of makes sense to do it after, as we know the outcome of SB 79, because that's definitely going to impact.
Which is
the
by
strategies
October,
that we
was it
would wanna
12th
do.
that he has to sign? Yeah.
Yeah, so we're probably looking at sometime in early November for a workshop.
Great.
Also, in that, I definitely want to make sure that we, because sometimes we seem to be thinking in terms of limitless funds, to make sure that we are talking about, if we have any funding that would possibly support a study of sorts.
I'm not sure if I understand that, if you can
Yeah,
clarify
if there's
that.
direction at that workshop to do a study or whatever, I want to make sure that we actually have the funding for it.
Understood.
Okay, thanks. No other requests to speak. All right, this meeting is adjourned to, sorry, I should have had that date.
Next Wednesday. Tuesday.
October 7th for the special meeting, which is at 4 o'clock for the Toll Brothers project. And that is the transit center. And then after that is the council meeting, which is on the 15th. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.